technologies directly with the farmers. IRI aims to make their students not only brilliant researchers but also progressive thinkers. It's the vision of IRI which I'm going to sum up in few lines. द्वार द्वार हो प्रचार, ज्ञान के प्रचार का, पुस्तकों से शास्त्र से नाश हो विकार का, उन्नति के पथ सुगम, कंटकों से हीन हो, संकटों से जूझने में सिद्ध हो, प्रवीण हो, तंत्र मंत्र यंत्र से विश्व में विशेष हो, सोच में नवीन से नवीनतम ये देश हो, देश के विकास की कामना करें सभी, आराधना 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 करें सभी. And here we are today to celebrate the achievements and journeys of students who have been and always be an inseparable part of IRI. In the first day of this week-long convocation program, we will be seeing the cream of all the disciplines presenting their outstanding and valuable research works and going one more step closer to the prestigious IRI Merit Medal and the Best Student Award. So, without further delay, let's begin the program by lighting the lamp towards Ma Saraswati and take her blessings. So now I would request Dr. R.R. Burman, Principal Scientist, Division of Extension, to play Saraswati Vandana.
त्रिभुवन धन्या सुरमुनि कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुध्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते.
Thank you very much, sir. With this fresh and blessed start, now I would like to request Dr. Rashmi Agrawal, Dean and Joint Director Education IRI, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Deepti. A very good morning to all of you. It's a warm welcome to all of you who have joined today on the very first day of 60th Convocation Week program of IRI in this chilly winter. Indian Agriculture Research Institute is going to celebrate its 60th Convocation Week program, which is beginning from today. And the program is being started by the presentation of the significant postgraduate student research by MSc, MTech and PhD students for the merit medals and NABARD Professor VL Chopra Gold Medal Award and the Best Student of the Year Award through virtual meeting. From this year, we have initiated NABARD Professor VL Chopra Gold Medal Award, one each for MSc, MTech and PhD student with a cash prize of rupees 25,000 and a certificate. On this occasion, I would like to welcome Honorable Dr. B.S. Dhillon, former Vice Chancellor, Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, who is also the chairperson of today's judging committee. I would like to welcome Dr. P.G. Patil, Vice Chancellor, MPKV Rahuri, Dr. K.C. Bansal, former Director, NBPGR, Dr. A.K. Joshi, Director, BISA, New Delhi, Dr. A.K. Patra, Director, IISS, Bhopal, Dr. Rakesh Singh, Head and Professor, Economics Division, Banaras Hindu University, our Honorable Director, Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh, who is the Vice Chancellor of IRI, Dr. Anil Dahuja, Professor Biochemistry, who is the convener of this students presentation program, all directors of the sister institutes, director of the IRI outreach program institutes, former directors, deans, dignitaries, heads of the division, project director, joint directors, students, faculty, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege to welcome you all, each one of you on this occasion today. As you know, a convocation is a special moment in the life of a student. It is all about celebrating the scholarly achievements of a student after years of hard work by the supervisor, faculty, family members, and the friends. As you all know that world is suffering from COVID-19 pandemic, and we are just recovering from third wave. And this is the second consecutive year that we are organizing convocation program through virtual mode. And the Institute has a rich legacy of excellence in teaching, research, and extension. And IRI students' research constitute an integral part of our research outputs. So I'm very happy to share that more than 300 publications have emanated from the thesis of the students during 2020-21, and of which 75% of the publications have NAS rating more than 6. So there are, today we have about 35 presentations, 22 MSc, MTech, and 13 are from the PhD students. And from those eligible and first rank students who are going to receive their degrees in this 60th convocation program to be held on February 11, 2022. And these presentations are mainly for two purposes. Purpose one is the selection of 5 students from MSc, another 5 students from PhD group for merit medals. And second is selection of 1 MSc and 1 PhD student for the NABARD Professor VL Chopra Gold Medal Award and the Best Student of the Year Award. So with this brief welcome address, once again, I welcome each one of you on the first day of our 60th Convocation Week program, which is going to begin today. And I also warmly welcome all the students, and I wish them good luck who are going to present today their thesis, significant research achievements. And today we have MSc presentations. Thank you once again to all of you, and warm welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, I would like to request Dr. A.K. Singh, Director, IRI, and VC of deemed universities, to introduce us to the with the chairperson of today's program.
Sir, you are mute.
You are on mute, Dr. Ashok.
Size, yeah. So, Deepti, thank you very much, and very good morning and welcome to each one of you. It's my proud privilege to introduce to you all the distinguished chairperson and the jury member who is going to judge the presentation today to identify the cream of the creams. To chair the session, we have Dr. B.S. Dhillon, and distinguished alumnus of IRI. He obtained his PhD in genetics from IRI and worked as postdoctoral fellow at University of Hohenheim, Germany, and at University of Birmingham. And these two, I must tell you, are the two leading schools of biometrical genetics. And Dr. Dhillon is internationally acclaimed in his field of quantity genetics and maize breeding. He is decorated with many distinguished awards, including Om Prakash Bhasin Award, Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Award, and he's also IRI gold medalist in 1974. So that's, very reason that he's associated for a very long time with IRI. He is fellow of INSA, NASI, and NAS. He has served as ADG FFC in ICR headquarters, Director NBPGR, Director of Research at PAU, and also served as the Vice Chancellor at PAU for almost 10 years. For his distinguished contribution to science and society, he was conferred with Padma Shri Award in the field of science and engineering by Government of India. We are indeed honored, sir, to have you to chair this particular session. Among the jury members, we have Professor K.C. Bansal, again, a distinguished alumnus of IRI, who did his doctorate degree, again with gold medal from IRI. So, and he completed his postdoctoral research at Harvard and at Rutgers University. And his specialization is in chloroplast transformation. That was the time this area was so important and very challenging that he took from front. And an involved teacher, Dr. Bansal, has taught molecular biology and biotechnology at National Institute of Plant Biotechnology, IRI, for long. He served as coordinator of national project on transgenics in crops. This was a multi-institutional project by ICAR. Also as director of National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. And when he was serving as National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources director, he took initiative to evaluate large set of wheat germplasm, more than 24,000 actually, to characterize them phenotypically. Our chairperson also has been the director of National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. Dr. Dhillon is again, Dr. Dhillon, Dr. Bansal is also Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Award winner, and he has NAS Recognition Award. He is fellow of NAS and also of NASI. The third member we have on the panel today is Dr. A.K. Joshi, a great teacher, if I summarize in one word, and he obtained his MSc and PhD degree from Banaras Hindu University, served as professor of genetics and plant breeding at BSU, and he is fondly remembered by his student for being an outstanding teacher. Also as a researcher, as a wheat breeder, his contribution is phenomenal, and some of the varieties like SUW234, many of them he has developed, and these are the leading varieties. 234 is a hallmark of success. He is fellow of INSA, NASI, and NAS. He is awarded with Borlaug Global Rust Initiative Award, and presently he is serving as CIMMYT's regional representative for Asia and managing director for Borlaug Institute for South Asia, that is BISA, it is called. We have Dr. P.G. Patil with us, and he is an outstanding engineer. Dr. Patil has made remarkable contribution in modernization of ginning industry in India. and he was instrumental in nanocellulose pilot plant facility creation at Sirpat, Mumbai, and particle board demonstration plant funded by CFC Netherlands. Dr. Patil served as the director of Central Institute for Research on Cotton Technology at Mumbai, and currently he is the Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapeeth, Rahui. Then we have Dr. A.K. Patra, another distinguished alumnus of IRI. He did both his master's and PhD in soil science and agricultural chemistry from IRI, and pioneering work on integrated soil quality index for different cropping and land management system, and impact of climate change and nutrient transformation process and uptake. He's currently working as director of Indian Institute of Soil Science, Bhopal, since 2014. And under his leadership, the institute has won the prestigious King Bhumibol World Soil Day 2020 award by FAO. Dr. Patra is also a fellow of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. We have from Social Sciences Group with us, Dr. Rakesh Singh. He did his PhD from Govind Vallabh Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, served at Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and currently he is Professor of Economics at Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Banaras Hindu University. He specializes in farm laws, and he was almost on all prominent channels during the crisis of, when the agitations were going on, when it came to discuss the relevance of, revisiting the farm laws and bringing changes in them. He was very prominently sought after by most of the TV channel. And I was extremely impressed to see the clarity of his thought on the issue of farmers' laws and their relevance for the society and how this can bring in transformation in Indian agriculture. So this is the very distinguished jury that we have today, and very distinguished chair. And I'm sure with this kind of competence in the team, we will be able to identify the best of the best for the merit medal, for the best student medal of IRI, and for the Professor V.L. Chopra NABARD medal. And this medal is financially supported by NABARD. It is starting from this year. So thank you very much, and look forward for excellent presentation. My best wishes to all the presenters, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, to begin the session, I would like to invite Dr. Anil Dahuja, Professor, Division of Biochemistry and convener of today's session. He will be telling us about the students' presentation program.
Thank you, Dipti, and good morning to all of you. The Honorable Chairperson of the session, Padma Shri Dr. B.S. Dhillon, esteemed members of the Judging Committee, Dr. K.C. Bansal, Dr. P.G. Patil, Dr. A.K. Joshi, Dr. A.K. Patra, and Dr. Rakesh Singh, respected Director IRI, Dean and Joint Director Education, Directors of various outreach centers of IRI, Directors of sister institutes, Associate Dean Dr. Manjaiya, other distinguished guests, HODs, professors, faculty members, and dear students. So today we all have virtually gathered here to commence the celebration of the 60th convocation of IRI. It is indeed a rich and unique tradition of IRI to organize the convocation program for a whole week. I must salute the visionaries who initiated this practice. Sir, this week-long convocation program befittingly starts with the presentations of MSc and PhD students contesting for the 5 IRI merit medals and NABARD Professor V.L. Chopra Gold Medal and Best Student of the Year Award, which carries a cash prize of Rs 25,000 and a certificate. So those who have attended these presentations in the past convocations of IRI would surely agree with me that the presentation of the students are not only full of exuberance and ebullience of the youth, but also packed with the knowledge, information, and innovation in all equal measures. So before serving you with this intellectual feast, I would like to apprise the audience, especially our esteemed chairperson and members of the judging committee, about the process of selection of students for this prestigious award and the IRI gold medals. Sir, we have 26 teaching disciplines here at IRI, and nominations of MSc and PhD student, one in each category, are invited from each discipline. And to be nominated for this award, the candidate must fulfill the minimum eligibility condition of having OGPA 8 or more than that. If in a discipline, more than one candidates are satisfying this minimum eligibility condition, then applications of such candidates are weighed and evaluated by a divisional level committee, which then decides upon one final nomination, which is to be recommended by the BS of that particular division. So after the completion of this process of receiving the nominations, the applications are nominated of the MSc students are assessed based on 3 parameters, which carry different weightage of for MSc and PhD students. Since today only we have presentations of the MSc students, I will be stating the detailed weightage of these parameters under MSc category. For MSc, sir, the OGPA carries 50% weightage. The research papers published out of the thesis has a weightage of 10%. The special achievements of the candidates, like say patent, products, processes, and methods emerging out of the thesis, and the awards won by them in the national and international conferences for their poster or oral presentation, has a weightage of 10%. Rest of the 30 marks, which are to be decided upon today by our esteemed jury members, depend on their performance in today's presentation. Sir, the list of the candidates along with the performer for the purpose of their evaluation has already been shared with all the jury members through email. As you must have noticed that we have received nominations of 22 MSc and 14 PhD students this year for this coveted award and medals. However, only MSc students will be presenting their work today, as I said previously, while the presentation of the PhD students have been scheduled for tomorrow. So as given in the performer, the judging committee will be evaluating the candidates based on 3 parameters: the quality of the research work and its potential impact, which carries 15 marks out of the total 30 marks allocated for today's presentation; the ability to answer the questions posed to them, which has a weightage of 10 marks, while the style of their presentation and quality of the slides carry 5 marks. Sir, till 2020, we used to have live presentations of the students in our BP Pal auditorium, but because of the pandemic situation, we had to switch to online mode from last year. I know, sir, there is no bona fide substitute to live presentation, as no other mode of presentation can match the intensity, thrill, and fervor which comes with the offline presentations. However, last year we experimented with the pre-recorded presentations of 10 and 12 minutes duration for MSc and PhD students respectively. So this concept was very much liked and appreciated by one and all, considering the COVID-19 situation. So we are continuing with the same practice this year as well. The presentations of the nominated students now will be played in the alphabetical order of the name of their parent discipline. However, the candidates, they have been instructed to keep their videos on while their presentations is being played here, and be ready for the subsequent question and answer session. The members of the judging committee would initiate the interaction with the candidates after their presentation. However, anybody from the audience is welcome to ask a question or query to the presenter, but I humbly request each one of you to please virtually raise your hands if you intend to ask a question. I, with due permission of the chairperson, would be calling the interested questioners from the audience one by one for their interaction with the students. With this brief introduction, I would now like to wish all the contestants good luck for their presentation and thank each one of you for your virtual presence here. Now I take this opportunity to request the Honorable Chairperson to kindly give his introductory remarks and conduct this session further. Wishing you all an enriching and a fruitful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all. And I can also say welcome, because IER is my alma mater. Thanks to the organizer for this opportunity. It's in fact honor for me. And Dr. A.K. Singh mentioned about me, but many may not be knowing. My MSc guy, Dr. V.P. Gupta, was also student of Dr. A.B. Joshi for his PhD. Not only him, nowadays, Dr. A.K. Singh, we do compete and we should compete and complement. But most of my teachers in MSc were from IRA, even though I did my MSc at PU. So I have very strong linkage, strong relationship, and I feel proud of this being student of this premier institution. Learned a lot of things over here. This opportunity is not an opportunity for me to act as a chairman of a committee to select the student. Dear students, it is in fact an opportunity for me to learn what is latest in science. Being away from science for such a long time in administration, full-time administration, so I'm quite distanced from latest development. So this gives me an opportunity, and not only in science, even in administration also. I didn't address my colleagues. Dr. Patel Sahib from Mahori, Dr. Bansal Sahib, former Director NBPGR, Dr. A.K. Joshi Sahib, Managing Director BISA, Dr. Patra, Dr. K. Singh from BHU, great university, Dr. A.K. Singh, Director IRA, Dr. Rashmi Agarwal. Sorry, just I don't know, I just forgot in the beginning. I had to keep it in my hand, but Dr. Duhuja Sahib, faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Now coming to learning experience. This is the second time I will be doing this duty, and first time when I went back to PU, at that time I was in PU. So Dr. A.K. Singh, we started this thing. I started this thing. Of course, could not do this, but this is now included. Instituted 5 gold medals, or I mean gold medal for PhD. Started only for PhD, not for MSc. I said, okay, let us start. So it is a learning experience to participate in various activities of good institutions. There is always something to learn, and this is a particularly wonderful opportunity because in our times now, the plant breeders, those who are working in plant breeding, they are lucky to work in biotechnological aspects and have good publication. But during our times, good publication came only from the student thesis, because we are all the time working in the field and just recording phenotype of data, and ultimately a variety came which was about which it was published in Progressive Farming or Indian Farming. Progressive Farming is a journal like Indian Farming, magazine like Indian Farming of PAU. So that way, it's really a wonderful opportunity to learn about latest development in science, and particularly when you are talking to students, MSc or PhD of IARI, again, premier institution in terms of human resources, having human resources based, national based. No other institution can, I mean, a state agricultural university can have comparable human resource base. So wonderful. I take this opportunity also to thank IRA and Dr. A.K. Singh for starting Professor V.L. Chopra Gold Medal. He was professor when I was student, then later on he became director, DG, and member of Planning Commission also. So I will say from my personal level, thanks to IRA and Dr. A.K. Singh for starting this. I will say great human being, great scientist, great human being, a very affectionate person. In that connection, I have one question also. Can we select a person out of 5 for this gold medal, or 5 + 1? So please later on, if someone can guide us about that. With that, I will not spend much time because the number of students have to present information. I wish all the students best of luck. But dear student, it is participation which is important. Unless until other participants, there cannot be no winner. So all those are participating, thanks to them, and best luck to all of you. And someone has to get that, and other have to participate. And with that, all the best. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you very much. Just to clarify the point you raised, we have 5+1 in each category. So the IRI best student medalist will also get Professor VL Chopra NABARD medal. So that's a common medal that goes to the best student. In addition to that, we have 5 students in each category with IRI medal. So it is
Oh.
5+1, 6 in both
Okay.
categories.
Okay. Good.
So with the due permission of the chairperson, so may we invite the first student to?
Sure, sure, sure. You don't need permission, Dr. Tuja, all the time. Let us not be that formal. Yeah, please.
So now I would request Dr. Barban to play the first presentation of Anirban Sil from Agriculture Chemicals.
Good morning, one and all. I want to welcome you all to our small effort for a sustainable world. Recently, the agricultural fraternity is frazzled with the question that will the agrochemical ban is heading us towards a natural disaster, be it the failed organic utopia in Sri Lanka, be it the dispelling of the banned pesticides in Nigeria, or be it the pest ravages due to the wrong pesticide policies in India and in abroad. All these are showing that pesticides are the inevitable input in agriculture. Although government is trying to shift the focus towards the new generation safer molecules and biopesticides by promoting them, the reality is suggesting that both in India as well as in USA, most of the farmers are solely dependent upon these synthetic pesticides to sustain. But due to excessive use and misuse, most of the synthetic pesticides tend to flow into water and create catastrophic residues in it. So, can there be any possible solution to this debacle? Yes, the major viable option is remediation. Among the existing decontamination approaches, physical, chemical, biological are the main. Among the chemical approaches, chemical precipitation, chemical coagulation, solvent extraction. Among the biological approaches, biophytoremediation. And among the physical approaches, caping, membrane separation, adsorption are the main. And among them, adsorption is dominant because it is simple, cost-effective, and safe. Among the conventionally used adsorbents, starting from clay, commercial activated charcoal, metal oxides, nanoparticle biopolymers, all these having the problems of either low removal efficiency, single adsorbent not effective for multiple pollutant removal, regeneration problem, or modification is energy intensive and costly, and therefore hybrid materials are preferred. Keeping this in mind, we have the title of our thesis, that is Synthesis and Assessment of Pesticide Removal Potential of Magnetite-Based Composites from Water. With objective 1, that is to synthesize and characterize the magnetite-based composites, secondly to screen them for their pesticide removal potential, and thirdly to assess their pesticide removal potential as a function of environmental factors. To fulfill objective 1 and 2, we have selected 12 pesticides including azoxystrobin, chlorantraniliprole, tebuconazole, tricyclazole, fipronil, and all other 7 neonicotinoids. And instrumental parameters were optimized with optimum runtime of 20 minutes and limit of detection and quantification of 0.005 and 0.01 microgram per ml. And further studying the recovery at 3 levels, 0.5, 0.1 and 0.01 microgram per ml using liquid-liquid extraction, we have found that almost greater than 80% recovery at all the levels can be achieved. To synthesize magnetite-based composites, we have first synthesized 7 biopolymer composites using starch, cytosine, hydroxyethyl starch, carboxymethyl cellulose, microcrystalline cellulose, and beta-cyclodextrin. At first, their stock solution is prepared using acid and water, followed by addition of ApCl3 FeSO4 at 2:1 ratio and precipitation using NaOH NH3, and finally after decantation and drying, we obtain Mag1 to Mag7 with yields ranging from 1.4 to 7.23 grams. For sorption, we have first taken 5 ml 1 ppm pesticide mixture solution and treated them with 10 mg of adsorbent, followed by shaking for 4 hours and centrifugation for 5 minutes. Thereafter, the supernatant was collected, extracted using DCM, and analyzed in LCMS. And using this, we have screened the biopolymers for their pesticide removal potential and have found that Mag2, that is magnetite chitosan bead, and Mag6, that is magnetite microcrystalline cellulose, were best among these biopolymers. To synthesize graphene oxide-based composites, we have first synthesized graphene oxide using Hammer's method, and from that we have synthesized graphene oxide FeCO4 using solvothermal, graphene oxide FeCO4 chitosan using one-step co-precipitation, and graphene oxide FeCO4 beta-cyclodextrin using chemical co-precipitation method with yields ranging from 1.75 to 4 gram. And using the similar sorption procedure, we have found that no composite showed sorption greater than 80%. To synthesize magnetite clay composites, we have used bentonites and some modified organobentonites, dispersed them in water, and followed the simple co-precipitation protocol as mentioned before to obtain Mag11 to Mag15 with yields ranging from 2.64 to 6.3 grams. And using the similar sorption procedure, we have found that Mag15, that is magnetite dimethyl dialkylamine clay, was found best as it sorbs nearly 90 to 100% of all these 12 pesticides. Among the other composites, we have synthesized some ternary and activated carbon composites. Ternary composites have cytosine and chlorine on one side, and starch and modified bentonite on other side. and simply co-precipitated with Fe3O4 to obtain Mach 16 and Mach 17. And in case of activated carbon, we have used activated charcoal and impregnated simply Fe3O4 in activated charcoal. And the yields were ranging from 4.11 to 8.6 per gram. And using the similar sorption procedure, we have found that Mag 18, that is magnetite activated charcoal, almost removes 100% of all these 12 pesticides. Based on the screening studies, we have further selected Mag 2, that is magnetite chitosan bead, Mag 6, that is magnetite microcrystalline cellulose, Mag 15, that is magnetite DMDA clay, and Mag 18, magnetite activated charcoal for further characterization and assessment. In FTIR, we have found the peaks of 600 cm inverse showing Fe3O4, where 3600 cm inverse and 1600 cm inverse are showing OH- and CO peaks respectively. And in SEM, we have found the irregular heterogeneous surface of the composite, and in TEM, we have found the alternate dark and light coloration showing impregnation of Fe3O4. To fulfill objective 3, that is the assessment of the sorption potential, we have first optimized the adsorbent amount with 5 different amount of adsorbent, that is 2.55, 10, 25 and 50 in 5 ml 1 ppm fortified mixture solution. And from the results, we have found that optimized adsorbent amount is 10 mg for maximum sorption. To optimize equilibration time, we have used 8 different shaking times starting from 0 minute to 1440 minutes, and from the results, we are evident that optimized equilibration time for sorption is 240 minutes. Further, we have fitted our data to pseudo first order model as well as to the pseudo second order model, and from the tabulated values, we have found that CS calculated values of pseudo second order is more in agreement with the CS experimental values, thereby suggesting Chemie's option to be dominant, except in case of azoxystrobin, thiamethoxam and dinotefuran in Mach 15, Phys's option is also taking a great role. Further fitting of data to Weber-Morris model suggesting multiple inflections, thereby multiple steps including diffusion is also involved in the sorption. To study the absorption capacity, we have used 7 different concentrations of pesticide mixture solution, starting from 0.01 to 2 microgram per ml, and from the absorption isotherms plotted between CE versus CS mostly are L-shaped, that is concentration dependent, except fipronil in Mag 2 and Mag 18 is H-shaped showing high sorption, rectangular boxes are A-shaped, that is lower sorption, and dinotefuran in Mag 18 is C-shaped, that is constant partitioning of pesticides in both the media. Further fitting of data to both Freundlich model and to the Langmuir model suggests that the Kf values of the Freundlich is more closer in agreement with the CS experimental values than the Q0 values of Langmuir in all the cases, and therefore suggesting that multilayer sorption is involved on the heterogeneous adsorbents. Further, pH dependence showed that neutral to basic media was ideal for sorption, while the temperature dependence showed that 25 degrees Celsius was ideal for sorption, and higher the temperature, lower the sorption. To study the regeneration and reusability, we have taken the used composites, treated them with 4 ml methanol, followed by ultrasonication and centrifugation, and then the regenerated composite was used again to complete the cycle. Overall regeneration efficiency was 70 to 90%, and after 3 reuse, there was merely a decline of 3 to 9% in the overall sorption efficiency. And we have further degraded the pesticides in the washings before disposal using UV-TiO10 5% NaOH, and the latter to perform the best. On comparison of Mag 15, that is magnetite clay, with that of the granular activated carbon used in the water filters, we have found that Mag 15 almost showed similar sorption with superior removal of methampyram, chlorothianidin, thiamethoxam and fipronil. For validating the sorption efficiency of our best two composites, that is Mag 15 and Mag 18, we have collected water samples from IRI Tubewell and Yamuna River and processed both of them with fortification and without fortification. And in Tubewell water, we have found azoxystrobin, chlorothianidin, tebuconazole, thiacloprid and fipronil above LOQ, and in Yamuna River, chlorothianidin and thiamethoxam were above LOQ. And further application of our composite on both fortified and unfortified samples showed that in fortified samples, nearly 80 to 100% sorption was there, and in unfortified samples, nearly 10% sorption was there. These are the chromatograms of removal of pesticides from unfortified natural water samples by Mag 15 and Mag 18. So from our study, we can finally conclude that 18 different magnetite-based composites were synthesized and used for the first time against 12 mostly used pesticides. Based on the screening studies, Mag 2, 6, 15 and 18 showed best performance with multilayer sorption being involved, and optimum sorption can be achieved at 25 degrees Celsius with 10 mg adsorbent at 4-hour shaking time in 5 ml 1 ppm neutral to alkaline pesticide mixture solution. Standardized regeneration and reusability protocol showed merely a decline of 8 to 9% after 3 reusability cycles, and 2 best performing adsorbent, that is Mag 15 and Mag 18, were sufficient enough to remove the pesticides from both fortified and unfortified natural water samples. Further, we have a plan to proceed with our best two adsorbents, that is MAG 15 and MAG 18, for removal of other micropollutants, followed by application to industrial wastewater treatment, and finally contributing a small part to SDG 6, that is Clean Water Mission. So from this study, we have submitted 3 research articles, amongst which one is accepted in Pesticide Research Journal with mass 5.49. And I have also published a book chapter and a popular article related to decontamination and a book related to general agriculture. Besides, I have presented my work as an oral and poster presentation in India and as a poster presentation in Poland. Further, I have been awarded with Best Master Thesis Award, Best Oral Presenter Award, Article of the Year Award, Second Best Speaker at the Ashubhashan Competition, and E.R.J.P. Gupta All India Best Researcher at Master's level. Further, I have accomplished a number of national and international trainings and workshops, and I have also qualified some national level exams like GATE and ICA and NET. And now I would like to acknowledge my Chairperson Advisory Committee, Division of Agricultural Chemicals, FESCRA, PG School IRI, ICR PG Fellowship, and my family, friends, and seniors. And finally, I would like to conclude my presentation with a famous quote of Phil Harding that without environmental sustainability, economic stability, and social cohesion cannot be achieved. Thank you.
Presentation is now open for discussion. So may we have the questions from the judging committee members first?
May I?
Yes, sir,
please,
please.
please.
Yeah, it was, I would just like to, first of all, thank you for making this presentation. I would like to know that out of all the biopolymer based, all these material you developed, and did you use any of the ones which are already available and known for having such a property, available in the market or elsewhere as your control? Did you compare with others already available in the literature or with anyone around?
Thank you, sir, for your question. Actually, sir, I have shown in the screening experiment that all the chitosan starch that are organic, we have used that in control experiments, and it showed less option efficiency. And that's why we have compiled them with magnetite, which also means solely it showed low option efficiency. But when we combined both of them, that is for magnetite chitosan or magnetite microcrystalline cellulose, they showed greater sorption efficiency.
Okay, and also, I know that MSc students will not have that much of time, but did you also try exactly in the field conditions where pesticides are applied?
Sir, actually for validating
Soil samples, at least on those situations, from those sites, by taking soil samples?
Sir, thank you, sir. Sir, again, sir, we have tried for water samples only, and for the validating the natural water samples, we have tried the best both of our composites, and we have a further plan to use both of them to further other micropollutants and soil also.
Okay, thank you. I wish you could have been a little slower. Anyway, this is my suggestion to you for next.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Please,
Yes,
please,
sir.
please.
Thank you. I think very nice presentation, very good work. Congratulations.
Thank
What
you,
is
sir.
the cost, Have you worked on economics? Sorry, I'm not from economics, but I just want to know anything on economics.
Sir, thank you, sir. Sir, actually, the best of our composite, that is magnetite dimethyl dialkyl amine clay, we have due to the paucity of time, we have used the commercial one. But in literature also, the dimethyl dialkyl amine clay or the organomodified clay can be made, and it is not that cost effective because it is based on the bentonites, and the bentonites can be collected from the mined ash areas, and from that there is a detailed procedure, and which is not so hectic. So it is cost effective, sir. We can make it that way also.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can I also, first of all, Mr. Anirban, it was an excellent presentation. Hearty congratulations. For MSc thesis in a very short time, I understand it is a wonderful work you have made. Many things you have very clearly presented. Just my one query that what may be the life of these two, MAG 15 and 18? You might have done in the laboratory, but in a long run, what may be the life once you start using as a water purifier to eliminate the pesticides?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your question, sir. Sir, actually, due to the paucity of time, we have not tested the shelf life yet. But the thing is that I have synthesized only once, and after 6 months also, just after activation with heat, means in the dry oven, we have used, and it showed the similar sorption efficiency. So up to 6 months, it is performing only good only, sir.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
I can see chairperson
Okay.
of the session, Dr.
Okay. Dr. Huja, first of all, my request to you, please call the members. If I raise hand, I should be the last one because I want others to take that opportunity. Instead of every colleague asking, may I ask the question? Better you see the hand.
By name.
Can I ask one question?
Yes,
Hello?
please. Yeah, please. Yes, please. Yeah, somebody said that may I ask the question. Oh, anyway, if not, first I have a comment.
Yes, sir. I had one, not question, really clarification. Anirban, you said that in some of the tubal waters, can you specify which tubal number it was? And whether it is in the vicinity of which crop grown area, because you said the pesticide, certain pesticide was above the maximum residue limit detected, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your question, sir. Sir, actually, we have used the Shadipur tubal water, that IRA tubal water near Shadipur, sir.
Okay, but I'm afraid Shadipur tubal. All right, if you tell number, then I would know whether that area we have, because the only crop, rice where we have pesticide use extensively doesn't happens. Other crop not so much up, and whether it is associated with that is something to really worry. And it's a good point that you have brought in. Let me see.
Yes, sir.
Any questions or queries from Dr. Rakesh Singh? Sir?
May I?
Yeah, Dr. Man Singh. Sir.
Thank you. It's okay. Yeah. In continuation of what Director Sir asked, I would like to just add information that in 2004, one Suraj Patil also conducted the pesticide residue analysis and nitrate load in the groundwater of IRI. And in there also he indicated at that time lindane, pendimethalin, atrazine and chlorpyrifos, these 4 pesticides were tested, and quite at the rice block in 14 number and few other number which I don't remember, but it is there in the reference. So those were also observed as early as in 2004 in the groundwater. This is for the information of the house. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from Dr. Rakesh Singh?
No, thank you. It's okay.
Hello.
I think my colleague should raise hand so that it will become easy for Dr. Dahuja. Yeah. So if no hand is raised, may I?
Dr. Patil. What is the size of nanoparticles you have used? That is Mach 50. How many nanometers?
Sir, actually, we from the TEM we have found that it was nearly 15 to 50 nanometers.
Nanometer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay. First of all, Dr. Dahuja, if we can have control the speed, as Dr. Bansal also said, it was too fast, in fact. And secondly, volume was also not as high, as good as it is now, or it was before the presentation. I think see these from 2 angles: shelf life and time for degeneration after or biodegradation, whatever you want to use after application. This is for future studies. And then economics also. Economics will go down once some product becomes. Just a very simple query to the student. You said you have got best thesis award. So by whom? Yes. And secondly, R-square values are too high. Is there any meaning of such R-square values? 0.996, 995. It means everything was clear. We need statistics only to show when we are in a doubt probability level. When things are clear to eyes, etc., then let us not then just. But you can calculate, Askar, I don't have any objection, but I will not. Hanji.
Thank you, sir. Sir, actually, sir, we have fitted our data to both the models, sir. Actually, pseudo first order, pseudo second order, or in the isotherm model, and in both, in all in linear forms, and all these shows, sir, R square values. Actually, sir, we have got this data, and it showed actually fitting of data.
And best thesis award from whom? You said that you have got best thesis award.
Yes, sir, from the AETDS Society.
Which setting?
AETDS. AETDS.
What is that?
Agriculture and Environment Technology Development Society.
My request to Dr. A.K. Singh. I'm going out of brief, but because I feel concerned, that's what I did at PGU also. We should control only good societies. I mean, I have said whatever I ought to say. Because there is proliferation of the predatory journals and maybe predatory society. I don't know about this society. I don't know. I don't have any information. Thank you very much and congratulations. Very good presentation. Very good work. And best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Narbin, for the nice presentation and
you,
active interaction with the members. So now I request Dr. Burman to please start the next presentation of Muyur Loi from the Agriculture Economics.
A very good morning to the Honorable Chairperson of the jury, distinguished members of the jury, dignitaries and the audience. The father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food," thereby
Can it be a little bit loud, please?
For leading a healthy life.
Those who are running.
Actually, sir, this is a pre-recorded presentation and it is running at maximum volume.
Okay,
So,
good. Thank you.
This is the problem in first two presentations, sir. So afterwards,
Doesn't matter. We are adopting new things, and I always say that every negative thing has something positive. Also, this is the result of our that we are doing such experiments. Very good, wonderful. No worries.
Thank you.
The Indian Council of Medical Research recommends 12% of our daily calorie intake to be in the form of fats and oil, and the average Indian household consumes this in the form of either vegetable oil, vanaspati, butter, and ghee. And among these, vegetable oil is the most widely consumed. If we look into the edible oil consumption pattern of India, the per capita consumption has increased from 3 kg per year in 1950 to 19.8 kg per year in 2018, and it is estimated to increase up to 24 kg per year in 2025. The factors driving this high consumption could be attributed to booming population, increasing income, and change in dietary habits. Now the question arises, does India has enough capacity to fulfill? For the marketing year 2020-21, it was reported that the domestic demand of edible oil increased at a rate of 8% per annum, while the supply could increase at a rate of 3% per annum, due to which the government had to resort to import of edible oils. If we examine the past performances, domestic production of edible oils had a very minuscule rise over the years 2000, from the year 2005 to 2020, whereas the imports grew at an accelerated rate over the same time period. On examining the agriculture import basket of India, we found that vegetable oil occupied the highest share, accounting for 46%, and among this imported oil, highest share is by crude palm oil 51%, followed by soybean oil 25%, and sunflower oil 19%. Based on this, we have selected the below three oils for our study. India imports palm oil from Indonesia and Malaysia, and soybean oil from Argentina and Brazil, and sunflower oil from Ukraine. Currently, India is the fourth largest edible oil economy in the world, second largest consumer of edible oil after China, and it is the largest importer of edible oil globally. For the year 2019-20, India has spent Rs 68,558 crore for importing edible oils into the country. Now, given this backdrop, should we Indians be concerned about the rising imports? The stagnant domestic supply coupled with accelerating domestic demand leads to import, which then causes drain of forex reserve, negative effect on domestic stakeholders, and price fluctuations in the domestic market. Presently, India is meeting 56% of its domestic demand through imports. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the Government of India has already launched initiatives like National Food Security Mission on oil seeds, and it has also increased the MSP for rapeseed and mustard by 8.6% as compared to wheat by only 2%. In the August of 2021, the Prime Minister of India has launched the National Mission on Edible Oils and Oil Palm with the main objective of expanding the area under oil palm cultivation. And in the recent budget, government has allocated rupees 1500 crore for boosting the domestic production of edible oil in the country. And domestic demands through alternative sources like rice bran oil. With this backdrop, the title of my thesis was An Econometric Analysis of Import Demand of Selected Edible Oils in India. The objectives of my study were to compute the price volatility of selected edible oils in domestic and international market, to identify the trend and instability in import of edible oils, and to estimate the import demand function of selected edible oils and their elasticity. My study was purely based on secondary data, where I have collected monthly data on domestic and international prices, yearly data on import quantity, value, GDP per capita, urbanization rate, exchange rate, domestic production, international prices from sources like FAO State, Pink Sheet published by World Bank, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and the analysis was done on software eViews 11. For the first objective, we have computed and compared the price volatility in domestic and international markets. We have observed that international markets are more volatile than the domestic markets of soybean, sunflower, and palm oil. Then we tried to identify the direction of causal relation using Granger causality test for all three oils and found that international prices causes domestic prices in soybean, sunflower, and palm oil. For soybean oil, we then studied the price transmission using regression analysis and found that domestic prices at current time are significantly affected by its past prices and also the past international prices. Then we studied its volatility using the Garch 1-1 model. Similarly, for sunflower oil also, we first studied the price transmission, then followed by volatility spillage. Then for palm oil, also, we have studied price transmission and volatility spillage. From our above analysis, we found that for all the three oils, there is a transmission of prices from international to domestic markets, and the international prices are more volatile than the domestic prices. However, for the case of volatility in soybean oil and sunflower oil, it is positively affected by its Garch term, whereas in palm oil, it is affected by its Arch term. For all the three oils, the volatility in domestic markets are not caused due to the volatility in international markets. Then we proceeded to identify the trend and instability in the import of edible oils. The growth rate for all the oils was found to be highest in the period of 1990 to 99 when India undertook the LPG reforms, and for the overall study period, the sunflower oil import had the highest growth over the years. We then studied the instability using the Kadidella Valley Index, where soybean oil was found to have the highest instability among the four groups. Finally, we estimated the import demand of all three oils as a function of 6 variables, where these variables were tested for stationarity using the unit root test. Then the model was checked for co-integration using the ARDL bound test, and annual observations were used spanning from 1994 to 2019. For soybean oil, the unit root test revealed that variables have a mixed order of integration. Similarly, for sunflower oil and palm oil also, the unit root test revealed that variables have a mixed order of integration. Then we identified the appropriate ARDL model and tested it for long-run relation between the variables. Our results revealed that co-integration exists in case of palm oil, soybean oil, but no long-run relation could be established for sunflower oil. For soybean oil, we then constructed the long-run ARDL model followed by a short-run model, and our results revealed that 1% increase in GDP will increase the import of soybean oil by 3.83%, while the 1% increase in production of domestic oil, that is the substitute, it will decrease the import by 3%. And the shocks in the short-term market adjust to the long-run equilibrium at a speed of 90%. And the findings of my study were found to be similar with a study for palm oil import in Nigeria. Then we tested it for structural break, and it revealed that our model was stable in the long run, meaning our coefficients are reliable and can be trusted. For palm oil also, we first ran the long run ARDL model followed by a short run model, and here also our long run model was found to be stable. The results revealed that 1% increase in GDP increases the import of palm oil by 0.57%, and 1% increase in the production of domestic oil, that is the substitute, it will decrease the import by 0.8%, while the shocks in the short-term market adjust to the long-run equilibrium at a speed of 74%. And the relative price index and the exchange rate seem to have a positive relation with the import of palm oil, coefficient being 1.35 and 3.8 respectively. Finally, I would like to highlight the key findings of my study. International prices transmit to domestic markets in soybean, sunflower and palm oil, and interior volatility in international markets are found to be higher than domestic markets. However, no spillover of volatility from international to domestic markets could be observed, and for the overall study periods, import of all the oils had positive growth, where sunflower oil had the highest growth and the highest CAGR was observed in the period of 1990 to 99, and 1% increase in the income of country increases the import of palm oil by 0.5% and soybean oil by 3.83%, while the increase in domestic production decreases the import by 3% in soybean oil and 0.8% in palm oil. Since we have seen an inverse relation between imports and domestic production, India needs to work on boosting its domestic production to reduce imports, which could be achieved via technology intervention, and also efforts could be made to shift the excess area under cereals to oilseeds. And since palm and soybean oil occupies nearly 80% of the imported oil, the import policy decision of the government could be based on the import responsiveness of these two oils alone. From our study, one paper has been accepted in the Indian Journal of Extension Education, and during the period of research, I have attended the 10-day training program organized by NIHEP. Lastly, I would like to thank my chairperson and advisory committee, Division of Agriculture Economics, PG School IRI, IRS Scholarship, my family, senior and friends from the bottom of my heart. Finally, I would like to end this presentation with a quote from Samuel Johnson, which says, "Agriculture not only gives riches to a nation, but the only riches she can call her own." Similarly, with right policy initiative and action, India can not only cut down on its import, but become Atmanirbhar in edible oil and maybe even a surplus country in the near future. Thank you.
Dr. Ahuja, before you invite a question, I have just one logistics. And that is like, these presentations are scheduled strictly for time, for presentation and also for question answer. And therefore, I would request that the question to be very pinpointed, and more than that, answer also has to be very focused. If you have done something, say I have done it. If you have not done it, please say I have not done it. No elaboration is required on that much. So that we can, complete this in time. Thirdly, I can see many people, unmindful of their, audio system. So that comes as a disturbance during the presentation. Please make sure that you are muted all the time, unless and until you have to speak. You can unmute and speak. So please take care of this. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. And since we have Dr. Rakesh Singh from the School of Social Sciences, so I would first request Dr. Rakesh Singh to please interact with the student.
Thank you, and I thank to the student for a good piece of work. I have only a few queries. One, that 56% of the total domestic consumption is imported, but your finding shows that the domestic price volatility is not affected by the international price volatility. It means the volatility is purely because of the internal factors, domestic factors?
Sir, thank you for the question. Means we surely found transmission of international prices to domestic markets. However, when we checked for volatility, we found that the volatility in domestic market are not caused due to the volatility in international market. It may be caused due to international prices, but not due to international volatility. Means it does not transfer. And means from our results, we could find that the major volatility could be due to domestic reasons and international prices, but the volatility of international market do not transmit to the domestic market.
Okay, the one of your conclusion recommendation was that the technological interventions are required.
Yes, sir.
So on which finding you recommended that, okay, technological intervention is required?
Sorry to say, sir, Vince, it was more of a general recommendation because increase in area obviously has helped in this one.
we should avoid the recommendation just on the basis of the general recommendation. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
sir. I will take care of that.
Thank you, sir. So now I would request Dr. Bansal to please interact with the student.
Anyway, thank you. My question is, in your future, prospects of increasing or decreasing, let's say, oil import, you mentioned, as Dr. Rakesh just talked about, out of 4 options, 2 options, I've captured. One is technology intervention, and another is increasing the area or transferring the area from cereals to the oil seeds. So you think out of the 2, according to you, as a student of economics, should be accepted more, and why? You think, that's important, keeping in economical development as well of the country. Out of the 2, which one do you prefer, if you have to be given a choice?
Thank you for the question, sir. Sir, if I would have been given a choice, I would recommend technological intervention. Although area expansion is effective, still it creates a lot of pressure on the land. So increasing our productivity using technological intervention would be a much better option to increase our domestic production of edible oil in the country. Hello?
Hello.
I think there is
Yes,
some
yes,
connectivity
Dr.
issue at Dr. Bansal's level because his screen is
Okay,
freeze.
we can-
So
we can- we
we
can-
can move
next
to
hand.
we
we
can
can
move to
move on.
the next
So KK Joshi
panelist,
also raised hand.
Dr. Joshi, please.
Thank you. I have a quick comment question. If I remember correctly, there was an oil seed mission launched several years ago, maybe 2 decades ago, and Dr. M.V. Rao was involved in that. Did you study anything that if a mission is launched, can it help really? Or it will help here, but then it will harm other crops? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, sir. Yes, sir, the mission that was launched by Government of India was Technology Mission on Oilseeds in 1986. And I have, sir, studied some of the reports on it and studies published on it. It has surely helped around, I think, sir, 6% increase in domestic production of oilseeds. But the moment we opened our economy to globally, the domestic demand was too high to be, and our production could not compete with the international prices. So keeping both in mind, government had to lower the prices, keeping the welfare of the consumers in mind. So the international prices outshine our domestic prices, due to which our domestic prices fell down over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any question from Dr. Patra's side?
Yeah, my query before that, I also compliment again, for this your presentation. It is an excellent presentation. A bit fast, but it was very good, I should say.
Thank you, sir.
My query is, in India we produce different kinds of oilseed crops. Your focus was more on soybean, sunflower, and palm oil, and there is obviously domestic production that influence the prices in the country. So when we produce the other oilseed crops, have you in your study analyzed the production of other than these 3 influencing the prices, the internal prices, the volatility? Have you made some analysis on that?
Thank you for your question, sir. Sir, regarding volatility and prices, we have not taken domestic oil under consideration like mustard and all, but for studying the import response of our palm, sunflower, and soybean, for this we have taken the domestic production of oil like mustard, groundnut, which would serve as a substitute for these 3 oils. We have taken only in the 3rd objective for import demand function, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Can you tell us which crops we have to replace with the oil seeds? Because I think in alternative question is, which crop gives more oil per unit land or per acre of the land?
Sorry, sir, the connection was
Instead
not
of
good.
going to productivity, oil percentage, instead of going to oil percentage, then productivity, which crop gives per acre highest yield of oil, which can be replaced, so that less amount of land will be allocated for these oil seeds.
Sir, thank you for your question. Sir, as per my knowledge, I have acquired over this research period, the best the best crop which gives the more oil per hectare is oil palm tree, sir. Though it is perennial and it takes some years to grow as compared to annual crops like mustard, groundnut and all, but the productivity is much higher than the simple crops of like soybean, groundnut and all. So there, because of which palm oil is very high in demand because of its high productivity, sir.
Is it possible to grow oil palm in India in large areas so that we can control the deficit of oil seeds, oil in India?
Sir, I think because the consumption is too high, I think oil palm will be a good alternative because the productivity of oil palm cannot be compared with these annual crops, though there is an angle of environmental issue. So, sir, I'm not sure how to comment on it because there are very varying opinions on the environmental effects of oil palm, but definitely for satisfying the consumption, oil palm is a good choice, sir.
You should answer in context of government has launched the oil palm mission, and 50% of our oil import, edible oil import, is palm oil. So we are already consuming, right? And there are areas identified where it can be grown with high productivity.
May we now have the final comments from chairperson?
Not final. Not final. In fact, I was just thinking there are so many factors, and all factors cannot be studied in the MSc thesis. Thank you, Vete, first of all. Very good presentation. So in addition to what you have considered, when we talk of international price, tariff also comes. That is very, very important. Then production of other oilseed crops. Then cooking quality. Palm oil quality is not good. It is being mixed with other oils. Anyway, two very pointed queries, if you know that. Other items which India is exporting, because India is a big consumer of everything. Whenever a third item may be buffalo meat. We are also on top in that case. So it is same trend there in also in case of. And second question is, yeah, okay, tariff, I said that I'm going away again. Community of importers, whosoever is interested to know that, I will tell him or her the exact sentence of Dr. Amiro, who told me that about oil. Yeah, please. It is not so simple. Oil imports are not so simple. Yeah, please.
Sir, sorry for the interruption, sir, but I could not hear the question because connection was cut off from my side, sir.
Studies versus volatility of those items, buffalo meat or some other item other than wheat and maize, because in wheat and rice we have MSP, volatility must be less. So is the same trend is there? That's the question. If you have no, otherwise it's okay, fine. Very good presentation.
Sir, volatility
in case of buffalo meat or any other item which India exports, is the trend of volatility in domestic prices versus international prices same as in your study, or it is different?
Sorry, sir, for making you repeat the question so many times, sir, but from my study, I did not compare it.
No, not
with
from
the
your
buffalo
study,
meat.
from just your general knowledge. Not from your study. You didn't compare, I know that.
Sorry, sir, I have no idea regarding this volatility in
we have
buffalo
time.
meat.
It is okay. You are wonderful. Very good.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have 22 presentations scheduled for the day, and we are already running behind the schedule. So, with your due permission, can we restrict the number of questions, sir? Because otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, maybe one question or maybe no question. No, doesn't matter.
So we can move to the next presentation.
No, but when there is some confusion in the question and answer, so one is tempted to. Why we have limited time, Dr. A.K. Singh? We are sitting at home, enjoying home tea.
No worries, sir.
That's wonderful, sir. No issue. We can sit as long as I think the jury is able to sit.
No, we have a large number of participants. You have to have some control.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that was my point, sir.
But when there is some confusion,
surely, sir. So may we have
and cannot explain all these things. And let me tell the comment now. The student is offline, I think. Dr. M.V. Rao told me when he was special DG. Dr. Bansal, it is interesting. He said, Dr. Tillon, do you know this mafia? I said, no, sir. How do I know? He said, oh, be careful. You are very, very active. Your project is doing very well. That means imports will be less and they will throw you out of running train. This was the exact words. So much money is involved. And those are good old days, 1980s. So let us be careful. My request to my colleague is that let us be careful. MS thesis, how much?
Sir, since you have said, that there is, this time restriction was more in context of when we were having physical presentation in the auditorium, and that's the mindset actually we are moving. But yes, we have liberty to sit at home and, extend a little more discussion. Absolutely no problem on that. And in continuation to that, I think we also have a very veteran journalist with us, Harish Damodaran. He writes for Indian Express.
Oh, Damodaran, how are you?
And he sent me a text message that he would like to make some comments or suggestions for the students. I said, fine, please go ahead. Harish, over to you.
Yeah, see, this is just a suggestion. See, I would say that, you should look at palm a little different from soybean and sunflower, because see, very few households consume palm oil. Okay, palm oil is mostly used by the industry, food processing, those kind of a thing. I mean, you'll not see palm oil in kitchens at all. Even in the poorest homes, if you go now, you won't see them using palm oil. It used to be there at one time. There is very little of RBD palmolene today. Most of the palm oil is invisible. I mean, it's in our biscuits, it's in our noodles, it's in our whatever, any industrial this thing, in puffs and all these things. So I think this GDP and these kind of things, you should be you should bring in some nuance, because and plus there are areas, I mean, geographical areas. North India, they consume more of soybean oil. In South, there is more consumption of sunflower oil. So I would suggest that, instead of making, blind correlations, which actually might lead to, wrong reasons. See, like you haven't explained, why is it that sunflower oil consumption has gone up? The imports have gone up much higher than palm oil. So I would say that, maybe you can bring in a little bit of nuance into your this thing. I'm speaking purely as a reporter. I'm not talking as an economist or thank you. But it was a very delightful presentation, and I think you can improve a lot on it. Yeah, thank you.
Ji sir, thank you.
Damodaran ji, I have a request. Whatever I said earlier is non-revotable. Now I will be careful. Earlier, I was very, very open. I have to. There are two BS till now. One is
yes, I know.
Scientist. Other is who interacts with the. And we have to do like that. Yes. So we cannot be very open in the presence of esteemed journalists. But when we are sitting alone with them, then we are more than open. 1-to-1, we are more than open.
He has come as someone to learn, sir. not to report.
Yes, absolutely. No,
No,
not to report at all.
I have met him many times, and I think he visited PAU also.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Singh, Dr. Dhillon, and of course.
Thanks, Harish. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. So can we move to the next presentation now by Mr. Arun Kumar GS from Agriculture Extension.
Good morning to everyone. I welcome you all to my presentation. Let's start the presentation with the famous saying of Stiglitz: development is about transforming the lives of the people, not just transforming the economy. In the recent decade, India emerged as one of the fastest growing economy in the world. With $2.6 trillion economy, India ranked as the third largest economy in Asia and fifth largest in the world in terms of its nominal GDP. But this growth story gives only the picture of economical development. When we compare with the different areas of social development, India is still facing major challenges like malnutrition, child labor, unemployment, poverty, illiteracy, and lack of health facilities. And these issues were reflected in UNDP's Human Development Index, where India ranked 131 among 189 nations. In case of Social Progress Index, India was given a rank of 102 among 117 countries. This ranking will clearly depict the poor quality of life exists among the citizens in our country. Presently, India is witnessing a lot of inequality between the states and also between the districts. Top 5 states in India were having 400% higher per capita income compared to the bottom 5 states. And similar trend has also been reported between the districts. Some of the districts are very well performing, some of the districts are poor performing. In order to reduce this inequality and to uplift the backward district, our Honorable Prime Minister of India, in consulting with the Niti Aayog, launched a Transformation of Aspirational District initiative in 2018. Under Aspirational District Program, 115 low-performing districts in terms of various socio-economical developmental parameters were identified, and these districts were named as Aspirational Districts. The main focus of Aspirational District Program is to measure and improve the human development outcomes across 5 major thematical areas. They are education, health and nutrition, agriculture, financial inclusion and skill development, and infrastructure development. According to the recent assessment report of Aspirational District Program, financial inclusion and skill development sector recorded the least development, which is almost 50 to 70% away from the sector target. Hence, our study was majorly focused on financial inclusion and skill development assessment among the aspirational districts. Then comes the question, what actually financial inclusion means? Financial inclusion means it is the process of guaranteeing access to the different financial products and services to the most vulnerable sections of the society. Whereas skill development refers to improving the capability of an individual to work more efficiently for overall his growth, and this can be achieved by conducting effective training programs. Though number of programs and schemes related to financial inclusion and skill development were implemented in aspirational district, but no study has been conducted till now related to the financial inclusion and skill development in agriculture sector. With this background, our study entitled An Assessment of Financial Inclusion and Skill Development in Agriculture Sector through Aspirational District Program was conducted with the following objectives. Under first objective, extent of financial inclusion among the respondents were measured. In the second objective, focus was given to measure the effectiveness of skill development training programs. And in the third objective, various determinants which are affecting both financial inclusion and skill development were identified. And the fourth objective was focused on identifying the different constraints related to the financial inclusion and skill development. And various suggestions were sought from the respondents, and these suggestions were ranked. For the present study, Karnataka state was selected. In Karnataka, 2 aspirational districts were selected purposefully. Even though Karnataka is one of the leading states in India, but Yadgiri and Raichur districts were ranked among the bottom 10 districts in the aspirational district ranking. Raichur and Yadgiri were selected purposefully, and from each district we have selected 3 training institutes which are actively providing skill-based training programs. From the list of trainees who all attended various skill-based training programs since from the inception of aspirational district program, 30 farmers and 30 agriculture laborers were selected through stratified random sampling from each district, thus make the sample size of 120, and same set of 120 respondents were used for both the analysis of financial inclusion and skill development. Coming to my first objective, extent of financial inclusion was measured in terms of 4 different dimensions. They are awareness, accessibility, usage, and level of satisfaction. Different number of items were added in all the 4 dimensions. Hence, all the dimensions were normalized by the given formula. Then overall extent of financial inclusion composite index score was calculated, and based on the composite score, respondents were categorized using cumulative cube root frequency method. The analysis showed that overall extent of financial inclusion of agriculture laborers was found to be low to moderate. Nearly 85% of the laborers were equally divided in low and medium category. Whereas in case of farmers, 58% of the respondents reported that they are having a medium level of extent to financial inclusion. Here we can conclude that the extent of financial inclusion among the laborers is less compared to the farmers. Further analysis of the sub-indices showed that overall level of awareness on the financial products and services was high, but the level of accessibility and usage was found to be low, but the overall satisfaction was found to be moderate. Here we can conclude that even though the respondents are having higher level of awareness on the financial products and services, but due to the lack of accessibility, the level of usage was found to be very low. And the second objective, effectiveness of skill development training program was measured in terms of 8 different aspects of the training. They are quality of the training program, utility, coverage, physical facility, competency of the trainee, skill development aspects, appropriateness of the trainee, and need assessment of the training. Skill development scale was used, and based on the scale score, respondents were categorized using cumulative cube root frequency method. And overall effectiveness of the training program was found to be moderate. Nearly 50% of the agricultural laborers and 51% of the farmers reported that training were moderately effective. Effectiveness of the training program were further measured in terms of 8 different aspects of the training program. All the 8 different aspects were ranked based on the weighted mean score. Among the 8, coverage was found to be the most effective aspect with a weighted mean score of 2.12 out of 3, whereas need assessment of the training was the least effective aspect of training program with the weighted mean score of 1.92 out of 3. Here we can conclude that most of the training programs are here focusing on covering the curriculum of the syllabus rather than giving focus on the need assessment of the training. Coming to third objective, determinants of extent of financial inclusion were analyzed using multiple regression analysis, and it was found that annual income, operational landholding, frequency of visit were positive and significantly related to the extent of financial inclusion, whereas age and distance of the financial institutes were negative and significantly contributing to the extent of financial inclusion. Determinants of skill development training effectiveness were also analyzed using multiple regression analysis, and it was found that number of training programs attended, innovativeness, motivation to transfer learning, and self-efficacy of the trainees were found to be positive and significantly contributing to the training effectiveness at 5% level of significance, whereas learning motivation and achievement motivation are also positive but significantly contributing at 1% level of significance. Under fourth objective, various constraints related to the financial inclusion and skill development were analyzed. Under financial inclusion, various socio-personal constraints, economical constraints, technical constraints were listed and ranked. Under the socio-personal constraint, lack of required document was found to be the major constraint. In case of economical constraint, low income underset. In technical constraint, cumbersome procedures in the financial institute were found to be the major constraints. Various constraints faced by the trainees during the training program were classified as during the training program constraints and after the training program constraints. During the training program constraints, lack of adequate hands-on training was found to be the major constraint. And after the training program, lack of access to government benefits related to the training area was found to be the major constraint. In order to increase the extent of financial inclusion in aspiration district, various suggestions were sought from the respondents and they were ranked. Among the different suggestions, financial institute should simplify the procedures and process, establishment of financial institutes in the villages, awareness of the financial products and services were found to be the top 3 suggestions given by the respondents. Suggestions were also sought in order to increase the effectiveness of skill development training programs. Among the different suggestions, there should be a provision of loan by the government to start a venture through acquired skill, supply of mini kit at the end of the training program. Training should include more of practical and hands-on training were found to be the top 3 suggestions given by the trainees. Financial inclusion study will be useful to the financial institute, states and central government in policy making, planning strategies and further scaling up of financial inclusion in aspirational districts. Whereas skill development study will be useful to the KVKs and all other concerned training institutes in planning and formulating an effective training program that may result in the gaining the knowledge, skill, problem solving capacity of the trainees. Our present study is restricted to only 2 aspirational districts of Karnataka. Similar study can also be considered with a larger sample of different aspirational districts from different states. And for the further studies in other thematical areas like health, education and rural infrastructure can also be considered. From my research work, I have penned down 2 research papers. One of the research paper has been published in Indian Journal of Extension Education with NAS rating of 5.95. Another paper has been submitted to Journal of Agriculture Sciences and Technology with NAS rating of 7.10, which is under review. And one of my paper has been published as abstract in the National Seminar of Indian Journal of Extension Education. And I have participated in various training programs and seminars, and one of my research paper has been awarded Best Oral Presentation in an international conference organized by Society of Biological Sciences and Rural Development. And I have also participated in various co-curricular activities organized in IRI. Last but not least, I would like to thank my chairperson, advisory committee members, all the respondents of the study area, Division of Agriculture Extension, PG School IRI, head of all the training institute, ICR JRF, ISRI, and my family. Finally, I want to conclude my presentation by saying the famous quote, "Schooling doesn't assure employment, but skill does." Thank you.
Thank you. So may I now first request Dr. Rakesh Singh to interact with the student?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dahuja. Okay, very good presentation. You started from inequality.
Hello.
But I have one suggestion that when an extension worker or an extension scientist, they try to see the effectiveness of training, you should include what is the final outcome of the training, not only awareness or accessibility. It will not serve the purpose, which is lacking. At least what is the final outcome the trainee should gain, or what they get from the training, that will serve the purpose. If you see the word inequality report, recent report, then you will find that in what way the inequality is increasing, whether it is wealth or whether it is the proportion of income by the top 10% people or the bottom 50% people. Okay, this is only a suggestion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So may I now invite Dr. Joshi, please?
Thank you very much. And first of all, just quickly to Dr. Dhillon. Actually, Chairman, sir, I'm enjoying so much these presentations, Ashokji also. My subject is different, so questions are coming automatically. So I will, but I'm trying to save time. Okay. Again, a very nice presentation. So my question is to my dear friend who is Arun. I am also Arun. That we have found that the most important thing in training program is the monitoring. If we don't monitor our trainees, and if we monitor them over years, months and years, it makes a lot of difference. So do you have any idea on this? I know it's MSc thesis. I'm sorry I'm asking this. Do you have any thought on this? Thank you.
Sir, good morning, sir, and thank you for asking the question. Sir, you are asking about the monitoring during the training program, sir, or after the training programs?
After.
Sir, in my study area, the major problem I have faced is like most of the training programs, they are conducted by giving some false hopes to the trainees. They are told they will follow options from the training institute, and most of the trainees, after taking the skill trainings, they are not properly implementing those skills in the practical situation. And due to lack of knowledge on the government schemes, they're not starting their own startups, or entrepreneurship ability is also there, but due to lack of financial constraint, that is not implemented, sir. This is a major issue I have facing, sir. I have seen in the study areas.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
May I now invite Dr. Bansal, please?
Hey, Mr. Arun Kumar, my questions are, you mentioned that we should give more emphasis as per your study on need-based training, which is very right, number one. Number two, also mentioned that there was a lack of hands-on training, as was pointed out by your study. So my questions are therefore, if it was need-based, did you ask or did you have any knowledge? What were the needs? On which need-based training area, the training could have been conducted, number one. Number two, lack of hands-on training. Hands-on training is always important, but was that hands-on training, within the institution or on site for those farmers and for the skill development, wherever the person is working with the physical constraints, and can be practically more useful. So what is your response to this?
Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you for your question. Sir, I will start with the second question, hands-on training. Sir, the farmers or laborers during the training, they are providing hands-on training and they are showing demonstration also. But all the trainees are not getting chance to do the experiments. And in the practical situation also, they are not taking the farmers or the trainees to the ground reality. Everything will be conducted in the lab or in a training institute. This is a major problem, sir. Like the situation will be different from the practical condition and different from the training institute conditions. And coming to the first one, need assessment. Trainees are in the need of their practical situation. Like for dairy farmers, they need a knowledge on the dairy sector, but they are conducting different training programs irrelevant to their topic, sir. So the training institute has to go for need assessment before conducting of the training. What type of subject matter has to be added and what are the basic needs of the trainee in order to improve their skills in the particular pertinent area. That has to be focused, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I now invite Dr. Patil, please?
Actually, my question was asked by Dr. Joshi because monitoring after the training program is completed over the years is very much important. And as regards to the training, handholding, actually practical trainings are very, very important because in one example at our Pune Agriculture College, we have a high-tech agriculture project and we are participated some trainees of even 10 fail and all these things, and over the year we hand-holding them and 100% practical training program, and these now trainees are working in even African countries, and there are a lot of demand for these trainees. So practical trainings are very important for the such kind of programs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
May I now have the question from Dr. Patra, please?
Yeah. Mr. Arun Kumar, excellent presentations. Your slides were very clear and easy to understand also. My query is, you have visited the sites, the villages where the training programs imparted for the financial inclusion and the skill developments. And the query is, have you inquired or, noted about the impact before and the after, before the intervention, what maybe the status was, and any changes, after that, that is what you presented, but what was earlier, any kind of perceptible or any quantitative changes you have estimated?
Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, first of all, for asking the question. So coming to the impact, I have done, sir, but due to some time constraint, I have not added those slides. Like farmers are getting the skills and knowledge from the training programs. But I already told to the Joshi, sir, due to lack of application and due to lack of backward linkages, there's no sustainable income increasing in their income, sir. First problem. There is no proper income. And second thing is, there is no availability of raw materials, sir. Many farmers, they have taken the training programs on beekeeping and apiary, but due to lack of beehives and due to lack of technical support and due to lack of marketing facility, even though farmers taking beekeeping and they are producing honey, means there's no proper local market for them. This is a major problem they are facing, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Kumar.
Thank you so much.
Hearty congratulations. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
May I now invite the comments from the chairperson?
Thank you, Dr. Sir. And thank you, Arun. Very good presentation. Also, I'm sorry I missed in between presentation because of the internet problem. I have dealt with that. Secondly, sorry, as my colleague Dr. Joshi Saab from BISA said, so many points come to our mind, though we are not in this field, and so it is taking more time. But for further research, not for the student who's making presentation, for the faculty on the whole, when they take more studies, further studies, these factors may be taken into account. No, all factors cannot be taken into account. That's very clear. So my experience of Punjab and PAU is that trainings were not that effective. I brought it to notice of ICR, and so the KVK mandate was changed a little bit. First thing, they say that we have taken the training, but we could not get the finance. That's one limitation. And secondly, what happened in Punjab, whenever they got the loan, they misused it. So monitor during training as well as utilization of the loan, etc. That is also important. Taking training, then availing loan, and then not using for that. That's these are the side we are laying emphasis on practical. On other side, then good that the student went to Karnataka, but I was just thinking about myself. In 1969, I joined PhD. In 1970, May's Kharif season, I experiment at PAU also. He said, no, if you want to have another experiment, another environment, go to Pantnagar. Learn something more. You have come from PAU. So if possible, send the student to some other state. Minimize the importance of that. But the student can gain more. But Mr. Arun, one pointed question. International symposium was held in India or somewhere outside? This is
Sir, in
Indian
India, sir,
society.
in UP, sir, it was held in UP.
It is Indian society or
Indian society, sir. It's a UP, Agra.
and the symposium was held in UK?
No, sir. Uttar Pradesh, sir.
Again, to my colleagues, I mean to faculty, IRE faculty, Director IRE and other, it is a fashion to write international symposium. Anyway, thank you very much. So
Thank
nice
you so
of
much,
you.
sir. Thank you.
All the best. Whatever this nonsense is going with Predatory General and these international conferences, we are responsible, not the student. I am responsible for that, not you.
Yes, sir.
Our generation is responsible. We are coordinating, we are conducting, we are creating these new societies. So students should not feel bad. Anyway, thank you,
sir.
Dr. Jas.
Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you, sir.
comments.
Thank you.
Now we move on to the next presentation by Dr. Abhratip Sarkar from Division of Agriculture Physics.
Respected chairman of the session, jury members, dignitaries, distinguished scientists, and my dear seniors, juniors, friends, a very good morning to all. I want to start my presentation with a famous quote of Gabe Walker's pioneer scientist of artificial intelligence: prediction of future is not magic, it's artificial intelligence. Sustainability, we have to attain soil health, which affect plant health and the crop protection. So proper soil function attainment, we have to maintain soil health properly. To maintain the soil health, we have to maintain the chemical properties, physical properties, and the biological properties. Quality will lead us to the environmental co-quality, which is a subset of agricultural sustainability. All these will lead us to soil fertility, then sustainable food production, and economically viable farming industry. There are many problems in estimation of soil health, out of which soiling of soil, slack aggregate stability, and clogged macropore are dominated. For fast measurement, Pego-Transfer function is used to predict difficult soil parameters with statistical and mathematical framework. But these are the disadvantages of this method, like it can't handle nonlinearity, collinearity, low predictive power, time consuming, and labor intensive. What is the solution of the problems? Learning-based artificial intelligence and Internet of Things methods can be used as a remedy with the use of database cloud and can be visualized with mobile. It has following advantages like high precision, non-linear and collinear data handling. Fractal dimension can be used as an indicator to express the varying shape and size as well as their frequency and repeatability in soil. Incorporation of fractal dimension has improved efficiency in prediction of soil aggregate stability in several studies. There are several research gaps like proper choice of methodology, comparison of different machine learning methods, fractal dimension inclusion as a predictor, identification of important soil properties as input dataset. Based on that, we have taken a research project on evaluation and prediction of structural stability and hydraulic conductivity in saline soils using machine learning, with the following two objectives: to evaluate the effect of salinity on soil structural stability, hydraulic properties, and carbon pools, to predict soil structural stability and hydraulic conductivity using machine learning approach under saline condition. Study was conducted on Robi 2020 at Karnal district of Haryana with 3 blocks, Nilokeri, Asanda and Nisang, in 30 villages with 121 samples. To execute my first objective, 0 to 15 and 15 to 30 cm depth of soil is taken with the following parameters and following methods. Based on the sample points, spatial variability maps of EC and pH was created using ArcGIS of the Karnal district. Both EC and pH showed high value in entire region. The fractal dimension showed significant positive relationship with clay and silt and negative relation with sand content, which indicates higher fragmentation in soil structure will lead us to more clay soil. The spatial variability map of sand, silt and clay was also created. The organic carbon value showed low organic carbon content in most of the soil and it has positive relationship with total organic carbon. In distribution of total organic carbon, it showed low content in most of the area. The different pools was determined using modified chain method with the help of potassium bicarbonate, different concentration of sulfuric acid, diphenylamine as an indicator and ferrous ammonium sulfate. Carbon pool showed higher value in labile pool than recalcitrant pool. The result showed similar result of soil aggregate stability, which showed higher number of unstable and medium stable class. The amount of microaggregate increased with depth. There was no significant difference in sand, silt, clay, mean weight diameter, fractal dimension, pH and EC with depth, but glomalin content, total organic carbon, bulk density and hydraulic conductivity showed significant difference with depth, in which only bulk density increased with depth. Spatial variability map of different soil properties showed heterogeneity. In correlation matrix among the soil parameters, we can see positive relationship of total organic carbon with MWG and organic carbon, significant positive relationship of clay and silt with fractal dimension, and negative relationship with sand content. Total organic carbon and MWG showed negative correlation with bulk density and positive correlation with hydraulic conductivity and glomalin content. In my second objective, the MWG and hydraulic conductivity is predicted using bulk density, fractal dimension, organic carbon and glomalin content. Two input dataset is used to predict the MWG and hydraulic conductivity. In input dataset 1, texture is used with other soil properties, and in input dataset 2, texture is replaced with the fractal dimension. All the machine learning operations were done using R software. Different machine learning approaches were used are MLR, ANN, SVM, CART and random forest. The model performances were evaluated using RMSE, MAE, MAP, correlation coefficient and Nash-Sutcliffe model efficiency. Multilinear relationship imparts linear relationship between input and output with regression coefficient. Perform well in linear relationship condition. In ANN, in several inputs are given weightage which will predict output by processing inputs through nodes. A support vector machine is a supervised machine learning algorithm that can be employed in both classification and regression purposes. SVMs are based on the idea of finding a hyperplane that can best divide a dataset into two classes. When points are arranged in lower dimension so that they are impossible to separate using a single line, for the solution, kernel functions come into action. Suitable hyperplane is done by kernel functions. In classification and regression trees, several decision rules will lead to the result by constructing one decision tree, and in random forest, several decision trees are combined to predict the output. The 121 soil samples were divided into 4:1 training and testing dataset with 97 training and 24 testing dataset. The descriptive statistics of total training and testing dataset were calculated. In prediction of hydraulic conductivity with different machine learning approaches, SVM with fractal dimension showed lower MAE, RMSE, MAP and higher correlation coefficient, and ANSE. ANN with fractal dimension also showed lower MAP, but the difference with the SVM is non-significant. The result is same in case of testing dataset also. In case of MWG prediction, support vector machine with fractal dimensions predicted more efficiently than any other machine learning approaches. 3-node Huygens layer is found to be the best for ANN in prediction of hydraulic conductivity. In case of CART, bulk density, clay percentage, and organic carbon is found to be the main classifier of data. The same goes for the MWD prediction, except here glomalin content comes into play as a main classifier in decision tree. Inclusion of fractal dimension showed no improvement in case of CART. So we can conclude that amount of labile pool of carbon is higher than recalcitrant pool, and the content of carbon pool decreased with increasing depth of soil. Spatial variability maps showed a lot of variation among the parameters. Glomalin content had positive correlation with hydraulic conductivity and MWD and sand content, and a negative correlation with bulk density, clay, and silt percentage. Inclusion of fractal dimension in prediction of hydraulic conductivity by MLR model did not show any improvement. Rather, it performed poor both for training and testing dataset. As SVM performed better as compared to traditional linear regressions, research on this aspect should be continued to relate soil characteristics to the basic soil properties. In path ahead, there is a need to validate the model in different agroecological regions and inclusion of plant parameters to check the model efficiency. Our one research paper has been accepted with NAS rating 5.22, and also 2 processes and 1 model is documented by me. I have participated in different oral and postcard presentation and attended different national and international conferences or webinars. I also secured 4th rank in ICAR SRF examination and qualified UGC NEC and ICAR NEC for assistant professor. I have also got best postcard presentation award in an international conference. I am very much thankful to my chairman, my advisory committee, Division of Agricultural Physics, Environmental Science, PG School, IRI Research Fellowship, parents, teachers, and friends. Lastly, I want to conclude my presentation with the famous quote of Andrew Nelson Little: "It is impossible for any culture to be sound and healthy without a proper respect and proper regard to the soil." Thank you.
May I first invite Dr. Patra to please interact with the student?
Yeah. Hearty congratulations, Mr. Abhradip Sarkar. Excellent presentations and a lot of data you have analyzed in a very short time. Very good work. Am I audible? Some problems, it seems. Is it okay?
Yeah, it has been rectified.
Yeah. Mr. Abhradip, you have identified, the critical soil pH, EC, in maintaining the soil structure, and total organic carbon and hydraulic capacities, and which are all, you are telling, very much essential for the structural stability and hydraulic conductivity. My query is how earlier also we know about these different properties. They are very much important for the overall the soil quality, whether it is whether the structure or whether the permeability and many other the soil properties. So this is one of the queries. I like to know from you how it is very much different than what we used to know earlier for your particular. And the another point is the glomalin, which is you are emphasizing in saline soils, which is a problematic soils. What are the sources of glomalin which can be promoted in such soils for further improving the subsequent the soil qualities? These 2 queries, please.
Thank you, sir, for your question. So I would like to answer your first question, that the use of machine learning approaches, we can surely identify the critical soil parameters of a new area within a short period of time. So with the existing model, though we create that that will help in prediction in the future studies and will help in the precision farming, like the application of we can identify a specific parameter that problems in a specific area, so that will help. And in your second question, that the various arbuscular mycorrhiza that collects the glomalin content, which helps in the soil aggregate stability. And application of biofertilizers and such maintaining application of organic matter in the soil, that will help in the production of glomalin content.
Okay, Mr. Pradeep, thank you. All the best.
May I now invite Dr. Bansal, please?
Okay, my two questions. One is that you mentioned soil content decreases with the depth of soil. Why? Number one. Second, you mentioned your future prospects to talk about plant parameters in your future analysis, to include plant parameters. What are those plant parameters you have in mind?
In your first question, I would like to answer that there is a, with the increasing depth, the organic matter accumulation is less, and the organic matter input is basically by the outsourced by different plant residue, and like that, which is confined to the 0 to 15 centimeter of soil. So with the depth of organic matter is found to be the less. And in your second question, that in inclusion of plant parameters like various remote sensing indices, which is the NDVI, and the various plant parameters as they reflect the soil health, that can be included.
Say it again. I couldn't hear you properly. The second part of your answer.
Sorry, sir. That different plant parameters like the different plant parameters like the NDVI and the that reflects a plant's health, that can be included in the various part of the study in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I now have the comments from Dr. Joshi, please?
Thank you, Sarkarji. Good presentation and good work.
Thank you, sir.
Now, my question is that, as I know, now private sector is working very aggressively on this area, even IITs, IIT Kanpur, for example. How do you see your research or research of your department in competition with these new emerging forces?
Sir, for that, with that, we need a huge number of data set for that. So we can distribute that model efficiency to the different parts of the country. So that will help to validate my model in some extent, and that can be that will make the model a more reliable one also.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any question from Dr. Rakesh Singh side?
Yeah, just I have a small question. Mr. Sarkar well presented. So I think in addition to the normal work, you have incorporated the different technology, whether it is IoT, machine learning, and so on. So on the basis of different parameters, whether it is MAP or other parameters, I think you found that ANN is the one of the best model.
No, sir. The Sabuk vector machine, I have found the best model. Okay. For prediction of hydraulic conductivity and AMWT.
So when we talk about the prediction of these things, so have you gone through the different studies which found the different technology, different machine learning tools, that these are the best one to be used for this kind of prediction?
Yes, sir, I have gone through.
So on that basis, what is the result?
Several studies have shown that the SVM performed better, and several also have shown that the random forest or ANN also perform good. But there is a lack of comparison in different studies. I have not found that so much extent. So I have decided to compare all those machine learning approaches in a aggregate way, so that I can compare which one is better among the best one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any question or query from Dr. Patil?
Very good presentation. Actually, now all we are going towards the digital agriculture, use of sensors, machine learning, IoT, artificial intelligence. I think it is a good effort that he has applied all these techniques to the reclamation of the soil or prediction of the structural stability and hydraulic conductivity in prediction in saline soils. And this is a good approach. But as rightly pointed out by Joshi, we have to compete with the IITs because they are having a very good technological information and they back all the information. So it is better to tie up with this kind of institutions, IITs, and use this technology in agriculture. This is my just suggestion and comment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your suggestion.
May I now invite the comments from the chairperson, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Sarkar, that you have gone through ASRB and you have taken up a problem for study for your thesis work, which is very, very relevant, and already emphasized by Dr. Rakesh Singh, Dr. Joshi, and others. But in your conclusion, you didn't clearly come out whether you could have some better model. In fact, in one of the conclusions, you have written SVM was not better than linear regression. What's SVM stands for?
Sir, SVM stands for support vector machine, which is a machine learning approach that divides.
So on the whole, your conclusion, did you do something better with machine learning, artificial or IoT, etc., and any lead something better than traditional methods?
No, sir, I have not incorporated IoT, but I have done different approaches like machine learning, that which one is best among.
Was there any machine learning approach better than traditional?
Yes, sir. The various machine learning approaches like the SVM and random forest that can be used as a replacement with the traditional methods.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir. So next presentation is from Mr. Manoj Verma from the Division of Agriculture Statistics.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Manoj Verma, representing the discipline of agricultural statistics. I welcome you all to my presentation. Let me begin with the quote of an English writer, H.G. Wells, that statistical thinking will one day be a necessary qualification for efficient citizenship as the ability to read and write. The history of Indian agriculture dates back to several centuries. However, adoption of modern technologies have transformed Indian agriculture from subsistence nature to commercial. Yet the farmers' welfare has not improved much. Farmers are facing low income, which leads to poverty, trapped in debt, hunger, farmer suicide, moving out of agriculture, and many other issues. Here is some statistics about these issues. Some important news highlights about these issues are shown here. Two of major reasons behind lower income of farmers are the crop failure due to adverse weather climatic conditions and inefficient marketing of produce. Now the question is, how can we cope up with these conditions? So, timely forecasting can be a solution for these problems. Accurate and timely forecast is needed for farmers for providing timely information for optimum management of growing crops, for early determination of export and import plan. It is also important to decide when to sell and how much to sell, and for formulating the government policies in favor of farmers. Niti Aayog has also found it important and partnered with IBM to develop a crop yield prediction model using AI. A statistician used to discover the pattern in historical data series, and after fitting an appropriate model, he forecasts that pattern into the future. Now, what about the performance of traditional forecasting model? The effect of weather on crop growth varies with the stages of crop development. As a result, the number of variables in the model increases and more parameters need to be evaluated from the data. With the use of traditional regression model for such dataset, the dimensionality problem may arise and the forecasting model could not be developed. With this background, we formulated our research title as Forecasting Crop Yield Using Feature Selection and Machine Learning Algorithms. And the objectives formulated were to evaluate the performance of crop yield forecasting model coupled with feature selection in regression framework, and to investigate the suitability of machine learning algorithms for crop yield forecasting. For study, data was collected from various sources like India Meteorological Department, Open Government Data Portal, and National Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasting. In the present study, work has been done on 3 datasets. First dataset is for rice crop yield and it is collected for Medak district of Telangana. Second dataset is for wheat crop yield and it is taken for Baran district of Rajasthan. And third dataset is also for wheat crop yield and it is collected for Jalandhar district of Punjab. Under objective 1, we have taken the weather data and from weather variables, weather indices have been formed. After that, different feature selection techniques have been applied on these weather indices. As a result, some important features which are related to crop yield have been selected. By taking these selected features with yield data, we have developed regression model which can be used for yield forecasting. Now, what is feature selection? It is the process of finding the few most important variables that can make an accurate forecast while ignoring the rest variables. As a result of which, we can develop the model with the help of regression. The feature selection also enhances the performance of the data mining algorithms and make it easier for the analyst to interpret the modeling results. It is the forecasting model which has been developed by taking the weather indices as explanatory variables, where Zij and Ji-J are weather indices. Different number of weather indices have been formed for different datasets, as 30 indices have been formed for Medak district, 30 indices have been formed for Baran district, and 56 weather indices have been formed for Jalandhar district data. And when the feature selection technique have been applied on these weather indices, different number of features have been selected for each machine learning techniques, which from the collected datasets, 5% data points were used to test the accuracy of model. For the Medak district data, these were the actual values of the testing dataset and predicted values obtained from the different forecasting models. Similarly, for Baran district, these are the actual yields and the predicted yields for different feature selection algorithms. Likewise, these are the actual and predicted values for third dataset that was collected for Jalandhar district of Punjab. For comparing the prediction accuracy of developed regression models with different feature selection algorithm, different measures were used such as MAD, RMSE and MAPE. For Medak district dataset, all the 3 measures has been found minimum for LASSO. Hence, LASSO is said to be better performing feature selection algorithm for this dataset. When these measures were applied on Baran district dataset, MAD and MAPE were found minimum for LASSO, but the RMSE has been found minimum for correlation based feature selection. Hence, we can say that for this dataset, LASSO and correlation based feature selection are performing better. Similarly, for Jalandhar district, the MAD and MAPE are found minimum for random forest and RMSE has been observed minimum for correlation based feature selection. Hence, we can say that random forest and correlation based feature selection are better performing for this dataset. Under objective 2, from weather data, weather indices have been formed similarly to objective 1. After that, these weather indices with yield data have been used to develop prediction model with different machine learning techniques. And now the developed models can be used for future crop yield prediction. The machine learning techniques has very few prior assumptions and are data driven, provides great deal of flexibility for modeling and forecasting the crop yield. Compared to traditional forecasting methods, a machine learning approach allows you to accelerate data processing speed, provides a more accurate forecast, and identify hidden patterns in data. In our study, we have used 2 machine learning techniques that are random forest regression and support vector regression. 5% of data points for each dataset is used for testing the accuracy of the model. Therefore, the actual values and the predicted values of the testing set of data with random forest regression and support vector regression are shown in these tables. For comparing the accuracy of random forest regression and support vector regression, MAD, RMSE and MAPE measures have been used. On comparing both the techniques, all the three measures have been found minimum for random forest regression. Hence, we can say that for all the three datasets, the random forest regression performs better. On comparing feature selection algorithms used in first objective and the machine learning techniques used in second objective, all the three measures MAD, RMSE and MAPE has been found minimum for random forest feature selection. Hence, we can say that the regression model coupled with feature selection performs better. If we talk about the salient findings from this research, correlation-based feature selection, lasso and random forest have been found as best performing feature selection algorithms. Support vector regression was observed as the best machine learning technique, and on comparing these two, the feature selection with machine learning technique coupled with regression framework was found to be more efficient as compared to the machine learning technique. During this research, R code for regression model coupled with feature selection has been developed. Now we will talk about the practical implications. The crop yield forecasting is very important for national food security. It can provide information timely to farmers for optimum management of growing crops. It can be used for early determination of import and export plans and prices. And it can also be used by government to form the policies in favor of farmers. As future line of work, forecasting model can be developed by taking more number of weather variables. This study can be carried out for different crops and for different locations in the country. And the forecasting models can be developed with other best performing machine learning techniques. From my research work, one paper has been accepted in Journal of Crop and Wheat with NAS rating 5.46, and one research paper has been communicated and under review in the Journal of Indian Society of Agricultural Statistics with NAS rating 5.42. One of my paper has been presented in workshop on AI for agriculture held during the Indo-French Knowledge Summit 2021. I have secured 9th rank in ICAR SRF 2021 and I have also qualified ICAR NET 2021 exam. I have also participated in some of the extracurricular activities. At last, I want to take the opportunity to sincerely acknowledge my chairperson and advisory committee, ICAR IASRI, PG School IARI, ICAR JRF Fellowship, my family, senior friends and all the people who helped me directly or indirectly. Finally, I would like to conclude my presentation with the quotation of John Naisbitt that the most reliable way to forecast the future is to try to understand the present. Thank you.
May I first invite Dr. Joshi to please interact with the student?
Thank you. Thank you. Young man, nice presentation. I have a question. That forecasting is necessary. What is this language? Is Bangla? Bangla hobe? Behind, I can, sorry, anyway. So young man,
Yes, this is Punjabi.
forecasting is necessary. People used to do earlier by closing their eyes. And sometime it was correct, sometime it was not. You have presented a very nice subject here. So can you tell me, already there is a forecasting tool in place in South Asia. Somebody is using, some governments are using. Do you have any idea on that?
Sorry, sir. I don't have that.
Craft tool, you know, it's a regional forecasting tool developed by CCAF and then shared with Nepal government and then UN agencies. They are doing that. So why I'm telling this? The only point, there is a strong competition. You are a young man, tomorrow you will be a leader. Start thinking on that direction. Thank you. No worries, don't worry about that you don't know. Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Bansal, please?
Okay, Mr. Manoj Kumar, two questions. One is that you talked about weather indices, 30 in site at Rajasthan and 56 in Jalandhar, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir.
Number one, why this difference in number of environmental indices? Number one. Number two, on what basis did you select the sites, these two sites, one in Rajasthan, one in Punjab for wheat? What was the basis of your selection?
Sir, it is selected on the basis of availability of data, sir.
Okay, and what was the reason for having different number of indices in two different sites?
Sir, because we have selected different number of weather parameters for different sites, all the three data sets. That's why the number of indices vary.
So is there any requirement that you should have a uniformity in terms of number of environmental indices whenever you try to do this? Is there a requirement?
No, sir. It is not
No,
requirement. We can take any number of weather parameters, and we can do this.
And also further clarification a little bit on your selection of site. You said because of the availability of data, but don't you also consider the sites which are the optimal, kind of production sites for any particular crop, and two different sites, for example, varying quite significantly in their number of environmental indices if you want to really compare, or predict any kind of yield models, true yield models, the predictability of yield parameters.
Yes, sir.
What is your clarification on this particular point?
Sorry, sir. Hello.
Is the question clear to you?
No, sir. It is not clear.
My question is that is this not a requirement to select a site that the ones which are optimally producing more of particular crop,
Yes, sir.
Over the years, over the different environmental conditions, which vary from year to year, or more seasons of data are required or not? I mean, I'm talking about that point.
Sir, actually, machine learning is totally data driven, sir. So it is different for every location and for every crop. So we have to forecast for each location. We can't adopt a method for whole India. Single method we can't use for prediction for the whole India.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, queries from Dr. Patil's side?
Now, the climate change is so frequent and aberrative. Such kind of dynamic situation, we have to look into this. I do not know if it's been taken into consideration. Because not only climate change, some biological pests. In Maharashtra, there are grape gardens, and almost next day there was a severe attack of the bats, and they have eaten all the grape gardens. Such kind of situations actually prevailing, so the model should be also taken into consideration. Such kind of things, because the model is for the prediction of the crop yield. So I think these are my suggestions. So that is only. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any comments from Dr. Patra?
Thank you. My concerns asked by Dr. Patil Sahab, and I should say a very good study for the practical implications in respect of management, the import, export, and the policy decisions. So this is such kind of studies, for a long time we are doing for improving the accuracy in the prediction. But the concern is now, the predicting crop yields in an unpredictable climate change scenario. That is a very challenging. I'm sure that you have taken, Mr. Manoj, I think you have taken care of in your study that kind of uncertainties, because any predictions, if there is the climatic dynamics, the large storms, the emergence of pests and insects, diseases, and all kind of things. So it is a very, very challenging aspect for predictions, but very much essential at the same time. So very interesting, and I'm sure it will be very helpful in future when the more validations will be made of your study. So no specific queries. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from Dr. Rakesh Singh?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Saab. Mr. Manoj.
Yes, sir.
Good presentation. Only one small query. Having weather parameters and making weather indices Even you are using machine learning for forecasting, already we have in place different forecasting models.
Yes, sir.
If I take the example of wheat, what should be the appropriate timing when you are going to make the forecast or prediction for wheat yield?
Sir, we have taken the weather parameters at weekly basis. So we can do forecast at any point of time on the whole duration.
When means my point is
Pre-harvest, sir.
when
Pre-harvest forecasting. We are doing pre-harvest forecasting.
you are doing pre-harvest forecasting, but
Yes,
at
sir.
what point of time? Because suppose if before 15 days prior to the harvest, if you are suggesting something at that point of time, the farmer will not be able to do any management practices to enhance or to improve the yield or
Yes,
to
sir.
minimize the losses. And even before 15 days, if you are forecasting and suggesting government that okay, this should be your import strategy or export strategy. So that is the reason that why I am asking that as a statistician, having all these parameters and the best technique, we should also think that what should be the appropriate timing for different forecast. Even we can forecast monthly basis or after that, and then the farmer can adopt the different management practices and other policy measures can be taken.
Yes, sir. We can forecast at any point of time, but as the data will be increases, so the accuracy will also increase.
In your research work, what was the timing?
Sir, it was not calculated.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So may I now have the comments from the chairperson, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Mr. Verma for choosing a good subject and also for making presentation Indo-French knowledge summit. That I will say means something. I'll come back to what Dr. Bansal asked. Mr. Verma ji, there is a difference between practical application and scientific study.
Yes, sir.
Very good. You took whatever data were for making comparison among different models. It would be better to choose the same parameter, maybe 30, maybe even 20. Of course, parameter will vary, rain-fed farming versus irrigated farming, predominance of the variety, if it is Joshi-Sa variety or it is a variety from PAU, entirely different agroecologies. So the scientific study is different. You could have done whatever you've done, it's fine, very good. Practical application, we should make use of all available data, as you earlier also said, for multiple forecasts. And then two requests to the Director Saab and Duhuja Saab, first to Duhuja Saab. Duhuja Saab, just to save time, only ask those members of the panel who raise hands. If my colleague agree, please raise hands so that we save time. And second request to IRA, do these quotes mean anything? On one side, we have limited time. One quote in the beginning, one quote in the at the end. Famous quote of statistics is, because now is the presentation of statistics, it is the beginning quote. I don't want to quote that over here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We should come directly to science.
Now let's hear a presentation of Dr. Anamika Burman from Division of Agronomy.
A very good afternoon. I welcome you all to my presentation. India's population is increasing day by day. To feed this burgeoning population, we need increased production. For that, two possible way out are by increasing the land area, which seems to be difficult in the current scenario, and crop intensification, which is a water-intensive process. But India is already using 68% of the fresh water only for irrigation purpose. The future projection of water resources also indicates the availability of water is decreasing. According to World Resource Institute, India is the 13th largest water stress country in the world, and it will be the second largest water risk hotspot for agriculture. Per capita availability of water is also decreasing. Under this situation, to increase water productivity, micro-irrigation, especially deficit drip irrigation, is a sustainable option. It reduces the irrigation cost, saves fertilizers, increase the overall income of the farmers, and reduce the electricity consumption. To promote micro-irrigation, Government of India has initiated Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchay Yojana with a slogan, "More crop per drop." During the Union Budget 2021, government had extra of 5,000 crore to accelerate the coverage of micro irrigation. To making the situation worse, climate change is also playing a major role. It caused decline in agricultural productivity and incremental water requirement for crop production. In this harsh situation, among different climate resilient systems, agri-horti system is one of the major systems which provides both adaptation and mitigation co-benefits. It not only provides climate resilient but also helps in nutrient recycling, extra income to the farmers, carbon sequestration and rich biodiversity, and wholly it can be considered a climate smart agriculture. Along with this, India is also not sufficient in edible oil production. Every year, India imports a huge quantity of edible oil. So how can India become Atmanirbhar for edible oil production? The possible way out may be by increasing the land area, production and productivity of oilseed crop by improved management practices. Keeping those background on view, I have started my research work on the topic deficit irrigation management in mustard using drip under agri-horti system. The objectives were to study the effect of deficit irrigation scheduling and agri-horti system on growth and yield and economics of mustard, to determine the interactive effect of agri-horti system and deficit irrigation scheduling on soil properties, to find out efficient irrigation scheduling option for mustard under different agri-horti system. The experiment was carried out with 5 main plot treatment: Moringa-based, Falsa-based, Karunda-based, Aula-based, and Guava-based agri-horti system, and subplots with 3 different irrigation levels: rain-fed 0.4 and 0.6 IW by CP treatment, and variety was Pusha Mustard 28. The amount of irrigation water applied in this irrigation was 20 mm. The number of irrigation for 0.4 and 0.6 IW by CP ratio were 3 and 4 respectively. Total water used by the crop was calculated by the following formula, which included effective rainfall received, capillary rise, irrigation water supplied, water contribution from the soil profile. Effective rainfall received was calculated from the following formula given by FAO. Objective 1. The growth attributes such as numbers of primary branches, secondary branches, and dry matter accumulation were found significantly higher with Moringa-based agri-horti system and irrigation scheduling at 0.6 IW by CP ratio. Yield attributes such as numbers of siliqua per plants, seeds per siliqua were found significantly higher with Moringa-based agri-horti system and 0.6 IW by CP ratio, but 1000 grain weight didn't show any significant difference in agri-horti system. Due to ample amount of water supply throughout the critical growth stages, seed yield, stover yield, and biological yield were found significantly higher with Moringa-based agri-horti system and 0.6 IW by CP ratio. Irrigation scheduling at 0.6 IW by CP ratio in Moringa-based agri-horti system provide significantly higher number of siliqua per plant and seed yield. The profitability of production system in terms of gross return, and net benefit cost ratio were found significantly highest with Moringa-based agri-horti system, followed by Falsa, Karunda, Aula, and Guava. Irrigation scheduling at 0.6 IW by CP gave 10% and 6% higher gross and net returns. although the net benefit cost ratio was numerically highest with 0.4 IW by CP treatment. Soil moisture status before flowering and at siliqua development is very critical for ensuring higher seed yield. With increasing the depth from 0 to 45 cm, soil moisture content increases subsequently. As the soil moisture content increases with application of water, as a result, soil moisture tension decreases subsequently at pre-flowering and after siliqua development stage. The maximum leaf water content was recorded highest with Moringa-based Agri-Horti system and 0.6 IW by CP treatment. The seed yield showed a linear relationship with relative leaf water content at both pre-flowering and pod development stage, which indicates with increase in relative leaf water content, seed yield also increases linearly. The maximum litter fall was collected under Falsa tree, followed by Moringa tree, and addition of nitrogen and phosphorus through litter fall was highest with Moringa-based Agri-Horti system. Objective 3. Water productivity and irrigation water use efficiency was found significantly higher under Moringa-based Agri-Horti system. 0.6 IW by CP treatment results in 9% and 28% higher water productivity. 0.4 IW by CP treatment results in 20% improved in irrigation water use efficiency. Similar trend was followed for monetary water use efficiency and monetary irrigation water use efficiency in case of Agri-Horti system, and here irrigation scheduling at 0.4 IW by CP treatment recorded the highest value. Conclusions. Among different Agri-Horti system, Moringa-based Agri-Horti system resulted in maximum farm productivity, profitability and water use efficiency. 0.6 IW by CP ratio gave higher value of growth and yield attributes and also maintained a higher moisture regimes in soil and plant. Irrigation scheduling at 0.4 IW by CP ratio could be an economically viable option in situation where irrigation water is scarce. The interaction effect of Moringa-based Agri-Horti system with 0.6 IW by CP ratio remained significantly superior in terms of growth, yield and economic returns. Ahead. The limited irrigation water could be suitably and efficiently utilized by micro-irrigation under semi-arid ecoregion. We can evaluate the performance of different Agri-Horti system under climate change scenario. These are my publications in some notable journals. These are my others publications. I have been awarded with Best Poster Award during 5th International Agronomy Congress. I got first prize in quiz competition. I have been actively participated in several co-curricular activities and got prizes. I have participated in several international and national conferences and webinars and training programs. I would like to thank my chairman, co-chairman and advisory committee members, Division of Agronomy, Director and Dean, PG School, ICAR Research Fellowship, my parents, teachers and friends. In India, unlike in the United States and Australia, agriculture is not just a food producing enterprise, but also the backbone of the livelihood security of nearly 60% of the population. With this, I, Anamika Burman, signed off. Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Bansal, please?
Yeah, my only one question is, Ms. Anamika, what was the reason that out of the 5 different agri-horticultural systems you tried, Moringa gave you the best results?
Thank you, sir, for your question.
Moringa was better.
Thank you, sir, for your question. There is several reasons for increasing productivity yield in Moringa-based Agri-Horti system. Number 1 is that Moringa is a multi-purpose tree. It can fix substantial amount of nitrogen in the soil. And second thing is that there is less rivalry relationship between the mustard and the Moringa tree. And third one is that the litter fall from the moringa tree is that much of higher than others agri-horti system. And many studies have also found that the extract of moringa leaves contained several phytochemicals, and it's also rich in gibberellins, IAA, and some little amount of abscisic acid. So we all know that this gibberellins and indole acetic acid has growth stimulatory effect on the plant. So I think ultimately overall this helps in better growth and productivity under moringa based system.
No, that's right. But just to go a little further, Ms. Anamika, this is something which you mentioned is already known.
Yes, sir.
But from your study, compared to, because you compared with 5 other systems, what was the point contribution of moringa system compared to
during during the annual litter fall collection, the litter fall was highest with moringa based system. So it provides a favorable or congenial system, soil environment system and rhizospheric environment that ultimately helps in growth and development of mustard plant.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Joshi, please.
Thank you. Anamika ji, very good presentation. Very good presentation. I just only want to know, if these things are so useful, why farmers are not using them?
Sir, in my opinion, I think these systems are more suitable under the rain-fed conditions or semi-arid ecosystems, and farmers basically from and this agri-horti system is location specific, and they generally didn't prefer this system to adopt. But in case of water scarce situation, agri-horti system might be benefits them farmers. And with comparison to monoculture with single crop, if we incorporate this agri-horti system, this might be sustainable options for farmers.
Thank you. Maybe they are using, some farmers are using, we don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Patra, please.
Yeah. Ms. Anamika, a very good presentation. Very interestingly you have presented. My query is, your moringa-based system giving the highest yields, all yield parameters as well, and also the explanation you are giving that the leaf litters probably one of the major reasons. So have you quantified the leaf litters falls? And the second is, what's soil parameters you have studied in terms of, which will be the factors for improving the crop yields. Third is, that is, just suggestion. I was expecting, some good photographs of your site where you made these studies and how it is, looks like agri-horti systems where the moringa is doing so well. So my queries and my suggestion.
Sir, regarding your first question, moringa-based tree gives the highest yield and other factors, and because we have collected the litter fall annually, like in summer, winter, and these 2 seasons. And due to these gloomy pandemic situations and short duration of time, I only have studied on the basically mustard crop. I didn't get enough time to study all the horticultural system, because another problem is that these are not regular bearing. And during my crop duration, I have only aula, and this carunda was fruiting stage or reproductive stage. So we have annually collected the litter fall. So this is regarding your first question. And second, regarding your second questions, the soil parameters like soil moisture tension and soil moisture contents I have studied. And third questions, what was your third question, sir? Sorry.
No question. There was not question. That just the photographs. It should have been
Yes,
also
sir. I have
included.
photograph due to limited amount of slides. I didn't show here.
Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Dr. Patil, please. Yeah.
Anamika, your topic is very good. Actually, it is requirement of the time. But how many farmers are using it? It is a different question. We do not know. But my question is, how in deficit irrigation, how did you optimize the water requirement?
Thank you, sir, for your question. Actually, deficit irrigation is a technique where we reduce the water use by giving them in most critical growth stages, and we escape the irrigation on non-sensitive stages. Deficit irrigation mainly increase the water productivity, and basically mustard requires very less amount of water due to it's a winter season crop, and mustards generally required 4 to 5 irrigation. Here in this my research I have found that if we decrease the interval of irrigation, or if we decrease the number of irrigation, like here we can see that 0.4 have give higher monetary returns in terms of water use efficiency. If we give irrigation at 0.6 IW by CP ratio, it didn't show more benefits than 0.4. So if we reduce the number of irrigation, in case of water scarce situation like semi-arid ecologies, so here it may be a better option.
But there are some techniques, I think you should have used it. Anyway, okay, thank you.
May we now have the comments from the chairperson, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Very good, Miss Burman. Very good presentation, and particularly your participation in co-curricular activities also. If I could understand from the discussion, you said you didn't have the opportunity because of COVID to study the systems. Did you take data of horticulture crops from different places, and this mustard data from different places, different experiments? Not clear to me, please.
No, sir. I didn't take any data from different place. It was already established horticultural system in our field, and I didn't take any data of horticultural crop. My focus was.
How did you study? You said moringa performance, this, etc. From where you got those data on moringa or guava?
Sir, here I didn't show any data from this horticultural based system. I only showed the data from mustard crop. If I get.
But you said that moringa mustard intercropping system is the best one. So from where did you get the data on moringa or guava?
Sir, under moringa based agri-horti system, mustard give the highest productivity. Under moringa based system, sir.
Yeah, from where you said that you didn't? Am I clear with my question, or you said you worked only on mustard? I think
yes,
Dr. Patra asked that question probably. You worked only on mustard. So from where did you get the data on other 5 crops?
Sir, I didn't take any data from other horticultural crop. It was a already established system in field. In this moringa based system or aula, falsa, guava, in the alleys of this crop.
In IRE?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What was the age of moringa and age of falsa? Was height of all these crops same when mustard was grown? Height is a very, very important factor.
Sir,
number 2, then let me related question. Moringa is more medicinal plant and a fodder. It has come up as a fodder. Whereas guava is very upcoming horticulture crop. Guava juice is coming up like anything. So how did you compare? First of all, the height should be same. Either there is prune also.
Sir, height was not same. Moringa
Then height is a major factor in intercropping. Anyway, let us leave that. Next is you presented three conclusion. First one is very well known. Use of micro irrigation is well known. What is new in that? Micro irrigation, everybody, we know that we should go for micro irrigation. What is new in that?
Sir, yeah, in my research, it was new that deficit irrigation scheduling. I reduced the number of irrigation. Yeah, that is the new thing.
With micro irrigation?
Yes, sir.
That is very well known. That will work for any crop and everywhere. Unless until there is Chirapunji, where there is too much of rainfall. Anyway, very good presentation. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now let's move to the next presentation from Ms. Debarati Mandal from Division of Biochemistry.
Honorable Chairman of the session, respected jury members, beloved IRI fraternity, and my dear friends, I am Ms. Debarati Mandal from Division of Biochemistry. A warm welcome to my presentation. We are living in the midst of non-communicable diseases. Striking statistics says that it is not only a challenge for the developed nations, but also a challenge for the developing economy like India. Among them, diabetes has received most important attention as it is very common to us. As we know, diabetes is the imbalance of glucose metabolism which causes glucose to accumulate in the blood rather than being used by the cells in our body. And therefore, it is very important to regulate such dysregulation, which is majorly contributed by the increase in carbohydrate diet and also the sedentary lifestyle. And that's why the quality of carbohydrate need to be considered in order to cure the diabetic patient. While carbohydrate-rich diet is consumed, it is broken down by the digestive enzymes like amylase and amyloglucosidase into small active glucose molecules, and then it is absorbed by our body. Then there are several indices which are used to measure the glucose molecules like glycemic index for food, glycemic response for the in vivo system, and glycemic potential for the crops. And after consumption of carbohydrate, the glucose spike in the blood, which is majorly contributed by the two digestible fractions of starch, that is rapidly digestible starch, which releases glucose within 20 to 30 minutes, slowly digestible starch, which releases glucose within 180 to 240 minutes, and another third fraction, which does not responsible for the glycemic potential, is known as resistant starch. There are several factors which contributes towards glycemic potential, and it is classified into two ways, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic factors are those which reside within the crop itself and easy to modulate, while extrinsic factors varies among the individual and very difficult to modulate. Hence, to understand the glycemic potential of crops, inherent factors need to be comprehensively evaluated. Among all intrinsic factors, food matrix and its interactions are very important. In food matrix, along with starch, other matrix components like protein, lipid and phenolics also exist, which interacts among each other through the covalent and non-covalent interactions, and among all, lipids have known to form a stable crystalline complex with starch by forming a digestion resistant fraction called resistant starch 5. Considering the relevance, the title of the thesis is outlined as starch-lipid interactions and its influence on inherent glycemic potential. The study was designed with two objectives: to evaluate the effect of starch-lipid interaction on inherent glycemic potential and to unravel the mechanism underlying the formation of starch-lipid complex altering the inherent glycemic potential. We selected two starch sources, pearl millet and rice, and to understand the starch-lipid complex, 5 different types of cooking fats were selected based on Indian household. In first experimental design, we analyzed starch dynamics, microstructure, matrix composition, starch-lipid interactions, and molecular structure to understand why pearl millet is low inherent glycemic potential. In detail, for starch dynamics, we had developed in-house method which simulate human orogastrointestinal digestion system, and the process is depicted in these illustrations. After in vitro starch dynamics, samples of pre, during and post-digested conditions have been visualized under light microscopy, and from these images it is clear that pearl millet matrix was still much more crowded and condensed as compared to the rice. Histological section of cooked grain reveal that pearl millet has superior intact microstructure with high pericurve thickness, low endodermal surface area and low granular size, which indicate us that such parameters of pearl millet hinders the permeability of enzyme to reach the proximity of starch molecule. Third parameter of analyzing matrix composition is that pearl millet has lots of other food matrix components in higher quantity than rice, which interacts among each other and limits enzyme accessibility. Interestingly, such kind of superior interactions among the starch and lipid molecule has been clearly visualized under the confocal microscopy. Most critical parameter is the molecular configuration starch towards digestibility. Hence, we perform two different methods like Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy and X-ray diffraction. In the first illustration, the above graph represents the FTIR plot, while below graph shows the XRD data, which depicts high crystalline compactness in the molecular nature of starch, resulting one possible reason of low glycemic potential in pearl millet. Hence, we conclude from this study that microstructure, matrix composition, molecular structure are the key pillars of inherent glycemic potential in pearl millet. As we already understood the reason for inherent glycemic potential in the second experimental design, we were interested to understand whether the addition of cooking fats can further reduce the glycemic potential of selected starch sources. As the proportion of fatty acid has direct role in starch-lipid complexation, we performed the gas chromatography of 5 different cooking fats, which showed that ghee, coconut oil both contain maximum saturated fatty acid, while sunflower oil, mustard oil, teal oil possess maximum unsaturated fatty acid. Now we were interested to understand how the fatty acid composition affects the starch-lipid complexation, and these illustrations shows the whole process where we cook the starch along with the cooking fats and then analyze the complexing index with the iodine assay and further visualized by the confocal microscopy. And we observed that highest complexation in case of pearl millet mustard oil and rice mustard oil, while lowest in case of pearl millet sunflower oil and rice sunflower oil. As you can see, confocal characterization also showed that mustard oil induced complexes had a superior complexation compared to other cooking fats. Further, to understand the role of such complexation in the inherent glycemic potential, we performed the in vitro starch dynamics and we observed that these combination had reduced the glycemic potential by 5% as compared to the control, and therefore from these study it is clear that the composition of fatty acid present in the mustard oil promotes the complexation with starch and which ultimately reduces the glycemic potential. Moreover, to explore in depth how the starch-lipid complexation affects the molecular structure of starch, we performed the FTIR and XRD study. FTIR chromatogram showed distinct structural changes induced by the lipids and which was quantified through the ratio of 1047 by 1022. A superior ratio indicates high level of shorter range crystalline structure in case of mustard oil. Similarly, XRD studies also highlighted long-range crystalline structure in case of starch mustard oil complexation. Therefore, the final reason of low glycemic potential might be the formation of higher, shorter and longer range crystalline structure in case of mustard oil induced complexes. Further, to predict in vitro reducing glycemic potential in the in vivo system, we performed in vitro assay termed as glucose dialysis retardation index assay, where glucose dialysis was performed to predict the glucose absorption in the system. And this result again solidified our previous findings that mustard oil induced complexes reduces the starch bioavailability. Henceforth, the proposed model of lipid-induced resistance in glycemic response for the very first time explained how the fatty acid type modulate the glycemic potential and enhance the resistant starch formation in case of pearl millet. Salient findings of my studies are: it is first comprehensive investigation on intrinsic parameters of inherent glycemic potential. From this study, it is clearly understood how lipid alters starch bioavailability, how it regulates starch sugar homeostasis. It also generates a cost-effective indigenous household strategy. Lastly, it develops a lipid-induced digestive resistance model of starch using the staple cereal. We are happy to share that our work got published in the esteemed journal Food Hydrocolloids with NAST rating 15.15, another in the International Journal of Biological Macromolecules with NAST rating 12.95, one review on starch-lipid interaction in the International Journal of Biological Macromolecules with NAST rating 12.95, one popular article in Science Reporter. I have also contributed as co-author in one book chapter published in Intake Open. I have participated several national international conferences and presented posters and oral talks as well, where I received 3 Best Poster Awards and second prize in one oral talk. I received People Choice Award with cash prize 5,000 rupees by presenting my research findings in the International Sci-Art Image Competition organized by Indian National Science Academy, received first prize in the national level painting competition, received second prize in the Doodle Art competition, became quiz winner in the Virocon workshop. I would like to thank ICAR IRI Division of Biochemistry for the funding, fellowship and opportunities I received in these 2 years. My sincere thanks to my chairperson, co-chairperson, professor and head of the division, all my friends and families for their immense support. I would like to conclude my presentation with the quote of Jose Andres, food is about making an interaction with ingredients. If you talk to them, they will always tell you a story. Thank you.
May I first invite Dr. Bansal for the interaction with the student?
Thank you, Ms. Devarati, for an excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Did you measure, Ms. Devarati, the 3 types of starch, as you mentioned, which are responsible and are present between the two? Did you measure the difference between the rice and pearl millet?
Yes, sir. These two, we measured.
The 3 types of starch you're talking about,
No,
right?
sir. 2 types of starch we have selected.
No, okay. Anyway, did you measure particularly the 2 types or the resistant one? Did you measure the difference between the 2?
Yes, sir. We measured.
Quantitative difference, yes.
Okay, yes, sir. We measured the amylopectin percentage, starch content, and the protein content, and also the molecular structural difference in these 2 starch sources.
No, sorry, I couldn't get it. Can you please explain a bit more? There was a break in the voice.
Okay. Sir, we measured the food matrix components. That means along with the starch, other components, protein, lipid quantity.
I'm talking only of starch.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We measured the starch content. Sir.
No, but what was the difference? I'm asking you this between the difference, particularly in the powder, which you must have used for your further analysis.
Yeah. Yes, sir. There's a very difference in these 2 starch sources. The amylose and amylopectin, the organization of these starch sources, the crystalline compactness among the starch, it differs.
No. So you have to tell me how does it differ? How the content differs? You're different, fine, but then that's what my question. In what way are they different?
Sir, in case of pearl millet, it having higher range of long range and short range crystalline structure as compared to the rice, and which is very like higher range than in case of rice, and in that way it differs.
Okay, anyway, my another question is a clarification with regard to the publication you mentioned, with 15.15, I think the NAS rating, there. I could see several people as authors, though you are the first author. So if it is the work carried out by MSc student with the guidance of a supervisor, then how many authors how they're there? So many authors are there in the paper, I could see quickly.
Yes, sir. Actually,
so what was their contribution?
Yes, sir. Actually, for guidance, I have FTIR study. We took the guidance from other chemistries, sir. We studied everything, and last we checked with them then whether it is okay or not. So in that way, they helped.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Dr. Joshi, please?
Thank you. Devarati ji, I like this work. Very nice, very new. And we are interested because as we grow, we become diabetic. So what is your recommendation? My question is, rice people should shift to pearl millet, or rice people should start eating more mustard or anything, mustard oil or anything else? What is your recommendation? Thank you.
Sir, okay, thank you, sir, for your question. Actually, replacing the food habit, it will be very difficult because rice people couldn't shift to pearl millet. So for that, we like we introduced this topic that if we add a very little amount of mustard oil during cooking, it can like reduce the glycemic response which is caused by the rice, like which is caused by the starch in this rice. So in that way, we highlighted our study. And if any people is taking pearl millet, obviously it is very low glycemic index, we know. So here we highlighted the like reason why it is pearl millet is very low glycemic index.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Dr. Patra, please?
Excellent presentation, Ms. Debarati.
Thank you, sir.
And it is very, important, I should say, as Professor Joshi mentioned, in India particularly, where, about 75 million people into 2021 affected by diabetics, and the prediction is it will be 125 by 2045. So in that context, very important study. What my query is, that the inherent glycemic potential you have determined, pearl millets and rice, and pearl millet is lower than the rice, where 63.7% in pearl millet, and in rice 65.89% or so. So these two, are they significantly different? This is one. Similarly, when you take with the oil, pearl millet mustard, it came down to 57%, and when it is with rice mustard, it is 59.6% or so. So again, these two, are they significantly different, these two percentages? And about, because I was expecting maybe ghee, desi ghee, nowadays we are talking more. And here again, is it was a desi ghee or from the exotic hybrid one? And what about the mustard oil? Is it refined or it is filtered? So these two queries from you. Please respond.
Thank you, sir. Regarding your first question, that it is significantly it's significantly different, sir. We took the 3 replicates for each samples and we analyzed it. And second query, sir, obviously for desi ghee also, we measured that it reduces glycemic response. But among the 5, we received the good response from the mustard oil. And that's why we pointed to the mustard oil. And we took the refined mustard oil, sir, from for our study.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very nice presentation again, and congratulations and all the best.
Thank you, sir.
May we have now the comments from the chairperson, sir, please?
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thank you very much. Very good presentation, very good choice of problem, Ms. Mandal. And congratulations for getting INSA award. It's good that now agriculture centers are also moving toward INSA, otherwise we were just separated from them. I have 4 comments in my mind. First thing is, yes, food habits change may be difficult, may not be difficult. If it is difficult, why we are moving towards junk food? Led by advertisement and packaging, children are preferring that. So it's not always difficult. Second one is the question, why did you select Tanshakti and Bapatla? BPT is probably Bapatla variety, isn't it? What are the basis of selecting this? Because there are varietal differences also. Are they important varieties in certain regions? If so, fine. Or any other reason? Tanshakti, it is where? Is it IRE variety?
Ikrisat, sir.
Ikrisat, where it is cultivated more?
Sir, Dhanshakti is mainly in Rajasthan and
Rajasthan? Okay, fine. That leads to the next question. Now, you have very good results. Did you compare, or do you know, or you want to know, if you do PhD, with what is happening in Rajasthan versus Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka? Because in Rajasthan, pearl millet is being eaten to some extent, whereas it is prominently rice in South Indian. Is there some difference in incidence of diabetes?
Thank you, sir, for your question. Actually, in these two cases, it will obviously differ, sir. The same.
But that is what I am asking. That did you try, or you want to
No,
try?
no, sir,
Or
in
your
future
advisor
what
may
I
have,
have.
you are there only for 2 years. Your advisor has he or she has done something. Anyway, I move further. You have done in vitro study. Why
Yes,
not in
yes.
vivo? If I am working in pearl millet and you want to do something on pearl millet, I will offer myself as guinea pig.
Yes, sir.
So in
we will
IRA or
use-
other nearby places, there must be person working on population of improvement and population of if such I don't know if such experiment can be conducted or not, but just idea came to my mind. And next one is point is I would like to see the number of authors and their affiliations in the publication. Dr. Bansal, I could not make out. You have raised an important point.
Okay.
In your publication,
Yes,
number
sir.
of authors and their affiliations. Affiliation mean which department, which institute, student, or advisor. The problem is in my mind. I must be wrong. I am wrong in many things, and my colleagues they know that I'm very often wrong. There are many chai wale authors. Yes, chai wale authors. अगर बांसल साहब मुझे मैं चाय पिला देता हूं तो मेरा नाम दे देते थे बांसल साहब. And you are competing here, so we want to know that.
Yes, sir. They have contributed, like guiding me the way.
How many authors
Okay.
and their affiliations? They must have contributed. Chai पिलाने में तो contribution है, but I hope in this case it is not so. कितने author हैं और क्या है affiliation उनकी?
Okay. Sir, I wrote the manuscript.
कितने author हैं और क्या author कितने हैं और affiliation क्या contribution नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ.
Okay. Sir,
Affiliation क्या है?
From Debaruti Mandal from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, then Monica Avana from Indian.
You need not tell me the name, only number of authors and affiliation of various persons.
Okay.
I'm not interested in names.
Okay.
First you are number one, main
Yeah,
author,
yes, sir.
first author.
Yes,
So
sir.
yourself from Department of Biochemistry, IRE. Second, your advisor.
No, sir. Monica Avana ma'am, one ma'am from my institute. So
From?
in Indian Agriculture Research Institute only.
Okay, next.
Next one is Vijay Thomas, sir. He is a chemistry department from Kerala University.
Then did you do some analysis there?
Sir, for FTIR study, I took help from him. How to
Okay, very good. Next.
Shilpi Agarwal ma'am from plant pathology. She helped me in confocal study.
Anyway, next.
Next one, Debarup Das from Soil Science Division, IRI, Indian Agriculture Institute.
Okay, next. How many are there? We are counted 5.
Okay, 9, sir.
Anyway, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. With this one, and now we move to the next presentation from.
Yeah, just a moment before we move. Dr. A.K. Singh, are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Yeah, these are very difficult times. One case we came across, there are many cases, innumerable cases, chai wale author. But one case we came across, wife and husband working at different places and co-author everywhere. And unfortunately, both of them came for interview. So,
now, yeah, I mean, one has to see that, you see, now when we see in terms of number of authors, there is, if you look at the international trend, and Dr. Bansal would appreciate, it can go into 150, and there are many such papers. When you are talking of a paper at MSc level of 15 impact factor and 12 impact factor, and where the contribution is justified of each person. Say, for example, if where from the idea came that we all know that pearl millet has got low glycemic index. BPT 5204 Samba Masuri rice variety has got low glycemic index, 52%. Others have got 85%. But why it has got low glycemic index, that question was never asked, never answered. And she has gone into the basics of understandings of the biochemistry, interactions of the molecules in terms of fat, in terms of carbohydrate, in terms of resistant starch, and all this required expertise in terms of many analyses to be pulled from different institutions. Otherwise, in IRI, it was not possible. So I think I think that kind of interrogation from the students, probably I'm not defending, but is not really fair, because this is the guide also has to see as to how many people are there and what is their justification. It's the primary role comes from the chairperson, not the student. And that should be sufficiently justified, and mostly peer-reviewed, internationally rated journal of 12-15 impact factor. If these things are not quantified enough, and if the reviewers are not convinced, they would not agree to this. So I think that aspect should be taken into account. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree and I disagree. First of all, number of authors in international, I mean, whenever there is network, the first time when I counted, it was 1993, I was at Siemens, 111 authors in some paper on genomics. So there it is justified, no problem, but not always, because then PNAS started giving the, listing the contribution of each author, who did what. Even sometime author is listed who helped in writing the paper, in improving the manuscript. So I think sooner or later we should start that. Then unless until it is some paper like rice genome and wheat genome, etc. I have my own views. Simple. And if you remember our paper together, I kept that paper, didn't publish for 3, 4, 5 years. Only when I was satisfied that you remember that it published after 5, 6 years, because there are more authors. We are co-author there, and we didn't publish it immediately. Of course, there are 2 reasons. One was the authors. Number 2 was different values from different labs. And third was one gentleman who was coming back in his on the side and every day coming and disturbing me that why India is going for golden rice when you have such a good material. I said, why should I create another controversy? So we held back that. So there are many, many factors, but we have to be careful. Now, problem is, a senior colleague from DST came to PAU when I was there, and he said that please have as many co-authors as possible. This is a problem, because they want to show more impact of their DST project. And I will not go over that. No, whether a project or ICR project or PGU project is successful or not, that's another matter. But not simply to show more citation index or more. And Dr. A.K. Singh, you may be knowing, Dr. Bansal may be knowing, others may not be knowing. There was one paper in Current Science about 5, 6 years back that publication from agriculture are not good. Citation index is not good. They are not published in impact factor journals. I was in governing body of ICE, I requested there. I was in EC of NAS, I requested there. Nobody took action. Then Dr. Nagarajan got angry with me. He said, he always called me Jasedar. Jasedar, why don't you write? Why you are asking others to write? Then I wrote, and paper is published in Current Science without change of comma or full stop. That agriculture is different science. We are in a dichotomy. On one side, we say we need variety. And I gave examples, your PBW 343 and this winter maize or spring maize. So those parameters don't, but then somebody coming high up from DST saying and I said to him, there itself, you know my nature. मैं जो सोचता हूँ कह देता हूँ गलत है या ठीक है, and I am many times wrong also. I am not Devta. Anyway, I have raised an issue because I feel concerned, and so we in this case, are we going to give some consideration to number of authors or not? It is to be decided by the advisor or by the director or by the dean, not by the committee.
No, well, I mean, this is something, of course, the committee could discuss at later stage, but the fact is that there is certain marks allocated for the paper, research paper, and she will get full marks. She is first author. There is no doubt. I don't think there will be any publication. I'm not exaggerating, including MSc and PhD. If it is there, I will be very happy with this kind of 15 impact factor. You will see the presentation today and also tomorrow. This could be the perhaps one paper of impact factor 15. So I think this discussion we can do internally when the committee meets and look into the merit of the publication.
Yeah, even then we should not ask anybody why to put a student in awkward position.
I mean, see, because this discussion has started and therefore I had to come in.
So let me give the suggestion. We not worry about number of authors.
Yeah,
okay,
I think, you see, as long as the chairperson with whom the student has done the research work is taking the responsibility of justification, and a student is first author, a student is not in the middle, a student is not anywhere else, and if the paper is of such a high impact factor, the credit should go to the student.
I told you I am not carried away by impact factor. I am not carried away by citation. Of course, those are important because these parameters have been set in. B.S. Tillon may not agree, but B.S. Tillon as chairman of this committee or as vice chancellor has to agree. I have two personalities.
So you are talking about the different kinds of science. On side you said, you know, the pressure on plant breeders for developing variety, but here we are talking of a hardcore basic science. This is biochemistry publication. We are not asking for variety. So
my suggestion is that we don't worry about the we don't worry about the authorship. That's my suggestion to the committee, and don't put the situation the student in awkward position. Let us agree and move on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I don't have any difference on that account.
I want to quickly add into it that I raised this question, of course, in the beginning, and my only point of query was that yes, paper was good, I said before, and its first author is by the student, and I think to my query, student answered, and that was okay for me, actually speaking, because you know, if the person has utilized facilities and kind of discussion on different, you know, methodologies, I think it's important that way. So nothing more, I believe we should at the moment discuss further and continue.
I leave it to other colleagues. I will not ask this question.
Completed already communication. This is laugh is okay.
Please.
Okay, thank you, sir.
There's some cross connections, sir. Don't worry about that. Sometimes people get unmuted on their own, so it creates problems.
No, that doesn't matter.
So, with your permission, sir, we can move to the next
presentation. Please, you don't need me all the time.
Which is by Mr. Asif Ali from Division of Bioinformatics.
A very warm good morning to all. Myself, Asif Ali VK, representing the discipline of Bioinformatics, and I welcome you all to my presentation. I would like to begin by what Peter Bickerton has rightly noted. Bioinformatics will accelerate our ability to understand and tackle global challenges like never before. From discovering new antibiotics to fighting pandemics or making agriculture more sustainable, the promise is great and the applications are already rolling in. Coming into the microbial world, microbes are important to every aspect of human life, indeed all life on Earth. Every system in the biosphere is influenced by the almost infinite ability of microbes to transform the world around them. And it is indeed very clear that the microbes as communities are the important players in sustaining environmental stability. The study of microbes was traditionally focused on single species in pure culture, which made the interpretation of these complex communities very difficult. However, the science of metagenomics enables us to investigate microbes in their natural environments, the complex communities in which they normally live. And metagenomics is nowadays applied in a variety of research fields such as the biotechnology, biology, medicine, ecology, and environmental remediation, and so on. Coming into the flowchart of a typical metagenomic project, initially we go for sampling, and then we go for DNA extraction, and then DNA sequencing to get the reads, and then we go for assembly of the reads, and then we go for binning, or from reads we can directly go to binning, and in the end we move towards the annotation process. Coming into the genetic markers in metagenomics, various genetic markers are used for the purpose of species resolution and taxonomical lineage identification, such as the 16S rRNA genes, 18S rRNA genes, and ITS rDNA genes, G23 and rDRP genes, and the phylogenetic marker genes for prokaryotes available in the NCBI COG database. Coming into the motivation, binning can be mainly classified into two approaches, taxonomy dependent and taxonomy independent. In taxonomy dependent methods are computationally expensive and are dependent on databases of non-available genomes. On the other hand, taxonomy independent methods utilize genomic features and machine learning based approaches. And so it is desirable to have hybrid methods utilizing the benefits of the above discussed approaches. And most of the hybrid methods available so far utilizes oligonucleotide frequencies such as the tetranucleotide frequency and hexanucleotide frequency. But with the advent of new signatures, it is also desirable to try them, such as the average mutual information profile values and the oligonucleotide frequency derived error gradient values. With these backgrounds, the research title was formulated as Phylogenetic Marker Genes Based Approach for Binning of Metagenomics Data. Coming into the objectives of this study, the first objective is to develop a semi-supervised binning strategy for metagenomics data using phylogenetic marker genes, and the second objective is to evaluate the performance of developed approach. In materials and methods, the dataset used is the 10S metagenome dataset, which is a simulated dataset consisting of 10 genomes, and the tools and software used for analysis include software such as Prodigal, FetchMG, and uCLUST or uSearch, and programming languages such as Perl, R, and Python. The first objective is to develop a semi-supervised binning strategy for metagenomics data using phylogenetic marker genes. Coming to the methodology, the 10S metagenome data is downloaded, which is a benchmark dataset, and it consists of the assembly file and other related data. Moving on to the genomic signatures computation, from the data, GC content is computed using Python, and the TNF and HNF values are computed using Perl, and the AMIP is computed using R, and also the OFTEG is computed using R. After that, we go for the application of Barlow-Satiq distributed stochastic neighbor embedding, where the multidimensional feature matrix is being reduced to two-dimensional feature matrix. Then we go for the application of k-means clustering, where the output from BHDSNE algorithm is being grouped into k clusters or groups, and here the k value is determined suitably. In the marker genes extraction process, initially we feed the data into the Prodigal software, which aids in the gene prediction and translation, and then we move forward. And here the Prodigal output acts as the input for the next software, that is the FetchMG, which aids in the marker genes extraction process, and then we move forward. And here the output from FetchMG acts as the input to the next software, that is the uCLUST or uSearch, which aids in the identification of sequences harboring marker genes. Finally, we move on to the cluster correction process, where the k-means clusters are corrected with the help of spectral clustering technique, which is aided by the sequences harboring marker genes. The second objective is to evaluate the performance of the developed approach. Coming to the methodology, we have three parameters. First one is the Silhouette index, calculated using the general formula, and the second one is the precision and recall, calculated using the general formula, and the third one is the Silhouette index, calculated using the general formula as well. Coming into the results, from the data, Prodigal resulted around 32,418 genes, and the FetchMG resulted around 407 genes, and running uSearch against the NCBI COG database resulted in 313 sequences. These 313 sequences using MS Excel were further processed to give 110 sequences, which corresponds to 10 unique genomes at genus level. Meanwhile, after the computation of the genomic signatures, we get raw genomic signatures data, which is a multidimensional feature matrix, and then we go for the data pre-processing, and then we go for PCA with 75 components before going for BHDSNE to enhance the results, and it results in a two-dimensional feature matrix. We can very easily see that the dimensionality reduction and visualization using the BHDSNE has been very effective. For k-means clustering, the optimum k value is analyzed using the ELBO methods, and finally the k value is determined using the Silhouette analysis, and it is found to be 8. We can easily see that k-means was able to identify 8 clusters labeled from 0 to 7 very effectively. We can see that BHDSNE itself was highly effective in visualization, and k-means has added to it. In the k-means cluster analysis, coming to the distribution of contigs in the k-means clusters, we can easily see that in the clusters labeled as 3 and 5, there is the abundance of 2 genomes, indicating 2 peaks and plotted as cylinders. And this is also very evident from the identified genomes through FetchMG in the k-means clusters. In the k-means cluster evaluation, the precision and recall values are good, and the accuracy is found to be 0.9, and the Silhouette score is 0.661, and the RAND index is 0.973. In the cluster correction process, the k-means clusters labeled as 3 and 5 are separately further corrected using the spectral clustering technique to yield 2 separate clusters from each. This plot shows the visualization of k-means cluster 3 and its spectral clustering output, and this plot shows the visualization of k-means cluster 5 and its spectral clustering output. Coming into the visualization of k-means output and cluster correction output, we can easily see that the cluster correction output has improved over the k-means output, and it was able to identify 10 clusters. In the cluster correction analysis, coming into the distribution of contigs after cluster correction, we can easily see that in the clusters labeled as 3 and 5, there are no more 2 peaks, indicating that there are no more abundance from 2 genomes in any of the clusters. And this has been reaffirmed with the identified genomes through FetchMG in the corrected clusters. Coming to the cluster correction evaluation, all the 10 clusters shows good value for precision and recall, and the accuracy has improved from 0.9 to 0.95, and the Silhouette score is 0.657, and the RAND index has improved from 0.973 to 0.981. Coming into the key findings, the visualization using BHT-SNE algorithm is highly promising for the TNF feature matrix. The implementation gave best results when tetranucleotide frequency feature matrix alone is used as the primary input, and other combinations of genomic signatures didn't perform any better, and the feature matrix considering HNF values alone also gave poor results. And the increasing dimensionality of the data is seen to degrade the results of implementation. The k-means alone was able to give a high value of 0.973 for RAND index using TNF feature matrix. And the cluster correction with the help of spectral clustering improved the clustering results with a RAND index of 0.981, and the developed semi-supervised approach improved the binning results of metagenomics data. Coming into the future prospects, the high dimensionality of TNF and HNF feature matrices, especially HNF, if can be reduced, could produce better results. It is seen to be promising for simple metagenomic dataset, and so could be applied to complex metagenomic datasets as well. Automation of the implementation could save much time, as processing of marker genes files is time consuming. Complex metagenomic datasets could be possibly better corrected with the identification of new phylogenetic marker genes and enhancement of the NCBI COG database. Coming to extracurricular activities, in sports, I have won the IASRA and IRA chess championships, and I have been a part of the IRA football champions team for the 2 consecutive years, and in cultural activities, I have been a part of the IRA convocation choir for the 2 consecutive years. Coming to the acknowledgements, I am highly grateful to my chairperson, advisory committee members, Division of Bioinformatics, PG School ICR IRA, ICR IASRA, my family, teachers, seniors, juniors, and friends. I would like to conclude by the words of Ernest Tabanu. I believe that bioinformatics will be of growing importance. Already biosciences eat up most of the computing power in the world. There is work in bioinformatics till I am 150. And that's all from my part. Thank you all.
I would first like to invite Dr. Joshi for the interaction with the students.
Thank you. Thank you. Asif ji.
Yes, sir.
Good talk. Now, I have one question.
Yes.
Suppose somebody doesn't know your subject. He's a common man.
Yes.
And you want to tell him in 2 bullet points, this work I did, and this is my conclusion. Can you tell?
Let me try, sir. Actually, this is a new topic to most of the people. Even my friends used to ask me, what is this metagenomics? What does it work like that? So I just used to explain them, like, if you do work in soil science, you just be collecting samples. So like we collect sample first from environments, then we just go for the biotechnology applications as well, such as DNA extraction. Then we go for DNA sequencing. Then finally we will get the reads. Then we have to assemble these together based on similarity and all. Then we have to go for grouping of these contigs. We call, after assembly we get contigs. Then we have to go for the grouping of these contigs to get meaningful groups or builds, so that we can identify which organisms are present in this. Because most of the time, these samples may contain unculturable microbes, but we often study only the culturable ones. So metagenomics will help us to make the study of unculturable organisms as well.
थैंक यू आसिफ जी, थोड़ा शतरंज खेल गए आप हमारे साथ. चलो, थैंक यू.
May I now invite Dr. Bansal, please?
Okay, Mr. Asif Ali, my question is, you showed a quote in the beginning of your presentation. And I agree, of course, with the chairman that you don't have to have quotes all the time in such presentations. That we'll discuss later.
Yes,
we'll discuss later. But here the question is, you mentioned, bioinformatics make agriculture, and that was part of that quote. So what does it mean? Bioinformatics, sorry, did I say bioinformatics? Bioinformatics can make agriculture more sustainable. What does it mean?
Sir, for example, in agriculture, if coming to my research as well, to point out some of the impacts going with this research, because we are identifying the organisms more effectively and efficiently. So it would help us to, in unraveling the etiology of complex diseases. And also it would help us in the spatial and temporal exploration of the unknown microbes. As well as, sir, we can also see that it will also help us in the exploration of plant microbiomes, such as in the susceptible and resistant ones. So overall, I think it will help in the improvement of the agriculture sector.
And the method which you have developed, have you also, such method was not available before that you had the necessity of developing this method?
This method was not available as such, sir, but some works were done, but in an overall sense, I had to improve many of the techniques, sir, because some techniques such as the use of k-means and after that the cluster correction and all, everything. Nowadays, the phylogenetic marker genes are being increasingly used in this winning strategy, sir. Many of the pipelines.
And all this work was carried out at ISRI alone?
Yes, sir. Most of the works were carried in my laptop. Sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I can't see any other hands raised.
I have raised hands. Okay.
Apart from
yes,
sir. So
anyway,
I now invite.
No, please, it is okay. Okay, no need to use the sentence. First of all, Mr. Ali, very important field. Metadata is becoming important, and so is genomics, etc., becoming important day by day. First thing, general query, because I am all the time interested in organization of IRI. Is there new division of bioinformatics, or you are part of some division?
Yes, sir. There is a Center for Agricultural Bioinformatics in ISRI, Indian Agricultural Statistics.
ISRI.
Yes.
Okay. Then you use one word, accuracy. How do you define that?
Sir, accuracy is actually, we have some matrices such as confusion matrix. So we calculate the confusion matrix from the target labels and the true labels. So after getting the values from the confusion matrix, we can go for computing this accuracy based on the general formula. So there is a formula that is.
No, formulas are all the time there. Is it residual or something else?
No, sir, accuracy
is
means.
Is it error? Is it unaccounted variation, or what is that?
No, sir. How effective it has been in predicting the whole data, sir.
What is the formula?
True positive plus true negative by true positive plus true negative plus false positives plus false negatives.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Because there is always confusion between accuracy and best. So I thought, for me, accuracy is residual or unaccounted variation or something like that. Anyway, the terms are, the meaning is changing. So I have one comment. Let the student leave.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, please. So again, I will continue with what Dr. Bansal said. Dr. A.K. Singh, please don't ask me at the end to give some concluding remarks, because I'm giving the remarks continuously. I wrote 2 points that I will say at the end, but then again, Dr. Bansal started that, and thank you, Dr. Bansal, for that. One was speed, in this case also. Second is use of abbreviation. I was just wondering that other than Dr. Bansal and to some extent Dr. Joshi, who will understand? I'm an old person, left science in 1995. I was not understanding. Other are not from even genetics. So use of too much of abbreviations. And the committee is very broad. And for contribution or for taking advantage of the judgment of all the members, if the abbreviations are less, it's a little bit understandable. So that's the general comment. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Duja. We can move on.
Thank you, sir. So next presentation is by Ms. Pratiksha Subha from Computer Applications.
A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Pratiksha Subha. I am from Division of Computer Application. I would like to welcome you to my presentation. I'd like to start my presentation with a famous quote from Steve Jobs. The best way to create value in 21st century is to connect creativity with technology. Agriculture is one of the oldest professions that mankind has known. Agriculture can help reduce poverty, raise income, and food security for 80% of world poor who lives in rural area and work mainly in farming. Agriculture development is one of the most powerful tools to end extreme poverty and boost prosperity and feed projected 9.7 billion people by 2015. Agriculture accounts for 4% of global GDP and contributes about 19.9% to Indian GDP.
Is it audible? I think we have
Poverty reduction and food security are at risk. Agriculture, forestry, and land use are responsible for about 25% of greenhouse gas emissions. Traditional way of farming, monoculture, leads to degradation of natural resources along with low productivity. Current farming system threatens the health of a people and the planet and generate unsustainable level of pollution and waste. So it is important to take care of it to meet the climate goals and reduce the stress on environment. Along with that, the majority of farmers in India is either the small or the marginal farmers. It is difficult for the small and the marginal farmer to receive the satisfactory remuneration. According to the census in 2015-16, there is a rise in the marginal farmers. Here we can see in this graph the population of a marginal, small, semi-medium, medium and large farmers. Also with the graph we can see the small and marginal farmers with less than 2 hectares of land accounts for 86.2% of all farmers but just 47.3% of cropped area. Whereas a semi-medium, medium and large landholding farmers owning about 2 to 10 hectares of land accounts for 13.2% of all farmers but owns 43.6% of cropped area. IFS comes as a rescue. It helps the small and the marginal farmers to lead a sustainable livelihood. By recycling the waste that is built in the system, it also helps to reduce the dependencies on the external high energy inputs, thus conserving the natural and scarce resources. IFS is the integration of 2 or more enterprises with the best use of available resources to satisfy the maximum need of the owner, which leads to increase in productivity per unit area, efficient utilization of resources, efficient recycling of farm waste, greater employment, and reduces the risks and ensures sustainability. Integrated farming could be a fish and livestock cultivation with the general farming practices which support each other. The fishes can be fed with the residual materials of the farms such as leaves and other waste products. In return, fish ponds provides an excellent manure and fertilizer for the land crops. The different components that can be integrated in this farming systems could be a crop production, vegetables, fruit cultivation, poultry farming, livestock integration, duckery, aquaculture, agroforestry, beekeeping, mushroom cultivation, biogas plant, etc.
Dr. Dahuja, this presentation has a lot of disturbance. You may give her a chance maybe later if you can stop because it will not be possible to judge because so much of voice is breaking. So what you can ask her is that she must be having her presentation and she can share and present. Maybe after 1 or 2, she can be given the message. She must be listening also. You are mute, Dr.
Maybe in the end we can take up, sir.
Yeah, we can take a presentation from her by sharing the slide, because it's not clear and it will be difficult to connect the story.
Okay, sir. So we'll move to the next presentation then, sir.
Pratiksha, you are there?
Yes, sir.
So your presentation was not audible, as you might have realized. What we would like to request you that you come at the end and you share your presentation. We will give you the option to share, and then you make your PowerPoint presentation, but following the same exactly the guidelines, the timelines.
Okay, sir.
Sir, आप mute हैं?
Yeah. Are the students in the hostel at IRE or?
Sir, actually, we are at home, sir.
Okay.
And
Okay. Good. Fine.
We have really bad
Don't
network
worry. Don't
issue.
worry. Don't worry. We will give you enough time. Please.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry.
Okay, sir. We'll move to the next
Yes,
presentation.
to the next presentation. Yes.
Yeah, which is by Ms. Komal J from Division of Entomology.
A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries present over here. I am J. Komal from the Division of Entomology, and I express my sincere gratitude to everyone for providing us this opportunity to present our work at such a prestigious platform, and it's an honor for us. Firstly, I would like to give a brief introduction about the group of insects that I have been working on, which is the moths. Moths belong to the order Lepidoptera, and their significance is marvelous. They account for 10% of the biodiversity, and even though their efforts in pollination are always underappreciated when compared to the bees, they are very important nocturnal pollinators, imparting their ecological significance. Economically, they have paramount importance as 90% of them are phytophagous in nature. This major group is informally divided into macro and micro Lepidoptera based on its size. The former contains moths having a wingspan greater than 20 mm, while the micro moths have a wingspan less than 20 mm. Why are these tiny micromoths important? It is that the micromoths constitute 40% of the Lepidopteran species and play vital roles as pests and pollinators. Due to their internal feeding habits, they are generally found as stem borers, leaf miners, etc., being closely associated with the host plant, making its study and documentation important. Based on this importance, taxonomic studies on Microlepidoptera of Pusa campus, New Delhi has been conducted. The reason behind choosing Pusa campus is that it has a large area with year-round vegetation harboring several pests. So, in the context of exploration of micromoths, it is definitely an unexplored treasure. If we analyze the research gap, there are limited taxonomic studies on Indian Microlepidoptera, while the micromoths of Delhi being unexplored, and there is no systematic assessment of the moth fauna of this region. Considering these lacunae, two objectives were framed, which is to prepare an annotated checklist for the moths of Delhi and to conduct biosystematic studies on Microlepidoptera of Pusa campus. For the checklist, a huge data is collected by an exhaustive exploration of the museum holdings of the National Pusa collection, where 1,998 specimens dating back to 1907 till date are studied. Field surveys were conducted by setting up light traps in the following sites, accounting for 25 survey nights. Also, infested plant parts were collected to rear them in order to document the different life stages of moths for a host-based study. All the moths are processed finely by the established procedures and then dissected for slide preparation. Later, photography was done using an automontage microscope. Apart from all this, the data was also procured from various citizen science portals. Data from all the previous literatures and isolated publications were collected, and finally this huge data is refined by taxonomic updation. The output of such an extensive data compilation is an updated systematic checklist comprising of 331 species of moths belonging to 32 families under 14 diverse superfamilies. The checklist was arranged hierarchically from superfamily to species level and alphabetically, including its common name, synonyms and occurrence records. This adds a huge number of 239 species as new records to the existing moth fauna of Delhi. If we analyze the checklist of the 14 different superfamilies, Noctuidia was observed to be the most numerous one with 164 species, followed by Pyraloidea, whereas the superfamily Calicoidea was the most diverse one with 8 families. Of all the 32 families, Erebidae stood to be the most numerous one with 93 species. Although the number of micromoths accounted for 1/3 with only 98 species, the diversity of these tiny moths was way too higher than the macromoths. Illustrations of 195 species were provided, which aids in pictorial identification of the moths of Delhi. The degree of versatility of moths was highly significant, ranging from the most beneficial pollinators to the most destructive pests. Although being pests in immature stages, the hummingbird hawk moths, which include Hylas lineata and Macroglossum species, are the most efficient pollinators of various crops due to their diurnal nature in contrast to the nocturnal character of moths. Some species such as Cephanodus hylas and Acherontia stix are of interest, as the former is a pollen robber and the latter being a honey robber. Apart from the pests of agriculture, horticulture and silviculture importance, a parasitoid Epigania melanoleuca, which effectively controls the sugarcane leafhopper, is documented. Some surprising records of species include Cunugia latipenis, which is known to be found in higher altitudes, was also observed in the present study. For the taxonomic studies of micromoths pertaining to Pusa campus, 37 species under 34 genera were studied in depth, belonging to 8 families, of which 28 species are new records to Delhi. Illustrations were prepared for all the 37 species which are economically important pests, such as the Phycodus radiata, which is a leaf roller of ficus species, while Hypertimus patota is a pest of mango, and Copamintis being a leaf webber of the tree species Cassia fistula. The other pests include Dudua aprobola, the mango flower webworm, and Lobosciza coenigiana, which is a leaf webber of neem, and a beneficial weed killer such as Bactra venosana is also studied, which is a stem borer of weeds like cyperus species. 15 species of crambids were studied, of which 11 are important pests of rice, and surprisingly, 3 additional species of little known rice leaf folders were also studied. Among the pyralids studied, Hypsopygia mauritialis is an inequalin in the wasp nests and is known to parasitize Vespa species, being beneficial to the honeybees. Variations of different morphological characters were studied, wherein the structure of labial palpi differed even among the members of the same species owing to its sexual dimorphism. Redescriptions of species was done with emphasis on male genitalia, and these are some of the important characters which were used for the description of genitalia. Male genitalia was studied where the variations were observed to be species specific. These are few more illustrations of the same. The species specific variations were explicitly notable in the female genitalia too. Biology of some economically important species was studied in the laboratory, and all the immature stages along with its symptoms of damage were documented. This facilitates identification and detection of the pests at an earlier stage. To summarize, the salient research findings of the present study include an annotated checklist of moths of Delhi comprising of 331 species belonging to 32 families under 14 diverse superfamilies, adding 239 species as new records to the existing moth fauna of Delhi. Illustrations of 195 species provided, which serve as an aid for the pictorial identification of moths of Delhi. About 2,686 specimens were identified, studied and augmented to NPC. In-depth taxonomy of 37 species belonging to 34 genera under 8 families was studied, of which 28 species are new records. Illustrations of taxonomic characters studied are provided, and biology of some economically important pests are studied, including the documentation of immature stages along with its symptoms of damage. We have registered our database of specimens studied with GBIF to be accessible for increased viewership. I have published 2 research papers, one in Biodiversity Data Journal with a NAS rating of 7.22 and the other one in Current Science with a NAS rating of 6.73. Another research paper has been communicated to the Journal of Asia Pacific Biodiversity. My other publications include a popular article and an abstract of my work. I am so delighted to share that our effort was recognized and broadcasted by the Times of India and the Indian Express following our publication of Moths of Delhi. For presenting our work on moths of Delhi, I have received the Best Oral Presentation Award, and these are some of the other curricular accomplishments, and I have even qualified ICR NET and ARS prelims too. I wholeheartedly thank my chairperson, co-chairperson and members for supporting me and guiding me throughout the journey. I extend my sincere gratitude to the respected Director and Dean, Professors, Scientists and staff of Division of Entomology and PG School, and all my dearest friends and seniors who have always tried to bring the best version of myself. Finally, I would like to end by quoting few words of the great taxonomist Linnaeus that if you do not know the names of the things, the knowledge of them is lost too. Thank you.
May I first invite Dr. Joshi, please, for interaction with the student.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Sorry, I'm raising hand too quickly, actually.
No.
Because
That's not
of my,
required. That's what our duty is.
I'm actually enjoying, although you will not allow me to take lunch, I know that, but I'm
No, we have to
enjoying.
take lunch. Dr. A.K. Singh is very particular about timely lunch.
Okay, thank you.
We will break for lunch, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll take care of.
Komal ji, I think you should apply for some photography championship somewhere, very nice pictures.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, but my question is, I see earlier lectures also, and I congratulate the students and all teachers and team members. Now, my question here is, do you have any idea, because after masters, you will go to PhD and somewhere else.
Yes.
What is the future plan about what you have done already?
Sir, as like for DNA barcoding, only 3% of the known species have barcoded till now. So with my study, as I have identified many of the species, so they can be subjected to further molecular studies, sir.
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I now have the comments from Dr. Bansal, please?
Yeah, Ms. Komal, if I have understood correctly, while I appreciate your good effort, of course, something very important that your own campus, you have tried to cover and map,
Thank you, sir.
Pests, and of course, friendly pests, I would say, insects. But point is, I don't know whether you have compared the taxonomically point of view, the ones you collected new from the campus and the ones which are already there in our collection at the entomology division, which is again one of the best we know, in fact, in the country. And where you said there were collections, way back in 1907.
Yes, sir.
So could you comment some kind of difference taxonomically, the ones which were from 1900s to what you have now collected new from the campus in 2020, and can you relate such changes in taxonomy, if at all, not from your studies alone, but from your knowledge, could be related to climate change as well?
Yes, sir. First of all, if we talk about the taxonomy, like all the species which are present in the National Pusa collection, whatever the museum holdings we have studied, all were of older names, sir. Like most of them have been synonymized now. So we have updated it to the current valid taxonomic positions. So in that way, we have given an updated information, sir. And definitely climate change will have a role in changing the population dynamics of all the moth fauna which is available in a particular region, sir. So I feel that definitely there is a change in the moth fauna from starting from the specimens dating back to 100 years old, and now, sir, there is a change in the occurrence of the species also, sir.
Could you relate also the availability of these new species of moth from the IRI campus with regard to certain sites, where there is a particular crop grown, continuously, or any such difference or new information could you add into whether it was macro mode there or micro kind of mode there, or whether they were pollinators or otherwise pests?
We could record all, like we could record a diverse group of moths, sir. They were pollinators, they were
but any specific information? No, any specific information you could relate with the site of collection?
the site of collection, like we could get many specific pests, sir, like micromoths, as they are due to their internal feeding habit, they'll be more associated with the host, sir. So by setting up light traps at near those orchards, like the mango orchards and all, we could get pests pests which are feeding particularly on those crops, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very good effort.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
May I invite Dr. Patra, please?
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Komal, it is again very interesting and very good information you presented. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir.
My, Professor Bansal already, in that continuation, because, in your earlier record, 1907, and my query in that context that, any decline in diversity of this Microlepidoptera, any decline you have observed in the diversity of these different species. And, in the modern intensive agriculture, lot of, the pesticides, herbicides, agrochemicals are being used. Do you see any significant changes about their, the population dynamics, the density and diversity, particularly the beneficial ones from your study?
Yes, sir. We could actually record it, but this procedure requires a continuous moth monitoring scheme, sir. Like that is actually lacking at this moment. But if we see the previous records, where as a part of a state fauna series published by Zoological Survey of India, they have included only 11 species of moths, sir, in entire Delhi. So there was no systematic assessment of moth fauna of this region. But with our systematic assessment, we could record more fauna, sir. So some research workers have reported only 73 species of moths as a checklist of moth fauna of Delhi. So the continuous moth monitoring procedure is lacking in Delhi, which is a metropolitan region and is subjected to rapid urbanization due to habitat fragmentation, due to artificial light pollution, and many other factors, sir. So for comparing the biodiversity, we need a continuous moth monitoring schemes and all, sir, I feel.
Okay, thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Patra. May I now invite Chairperson, sir, for the comments? I'm not able to see.
So I think
some internet connectivity problems.
Looks like.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to break after this presentation for lunch, right?
Yes, sir.
Or what is the plan?
1:30 lunch break was there, sir.
So it's 1:30 now.
Yeah.
That's must be, I think, is he disconnected?
Yes, sir. He got disconnected, sir.
Okay. So we can take his comment. He is disconnected. We can take his comments after he joins, when we begin the proceedings in the afternoon after lunch, right? And what time do we come back? 2:30 or what? What is it?
2:30.
2:30. Okay. All right. So
see you then 2:30.
Right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See you.
Also welcome Dr. Gaur, our former dean. I can see him. He is there. Thank you, Dr. Thanks for joining. Great.
Welcome, sir.
So you can keep logged in, and because the same link is going to continue, you need not to log out, and we will reassemble at 2:30.
Okay, sir. Thank you.